my own channel across YouTube and Facebook as well. What I'm going to do, because this is the very first time that I've actually done this, I'm just going to load up my Facebook in the background just so I can make sure that I've done it correctly and that I am not just sitting here talking to myself, which, I guess that's what I do normally, but it's kind of better, I guess, if you've got a camera and lights pointed at you, that you may actually be recording or streaming it to somebody else. Hopefully people are listening to it. So I've got one viewer, amazing that is me, and you're probably hearing me in the background. So it is working. That's good news. All right. Welcome to the stream. I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today with regards to the arm wrestling world and the Hollywood Mate Connolly world, the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club, and some of the things that we've been up to. Things have been going well. We've had a big year so far, and we're going to have an even bigger one. We have had our own tournament that we held at the Apex Sports Festival on March the 12th. It was part of the Apex Sports Festival, which was run by Craig Ike and Greg Hearn at Diamondback FC, which their own website is diamondbackfc.com. If you are interested in looking at MMA and cage fighting and some of the absolute best fights that happen throughout that organization. So if you are looking at MMA, then Diamondback FC is what we like to call it, the premier organization for MMA in this country. So I've set up my own little studio here at home, so I'm quite happy with how it's going. I've set up my own little background there. Literally behind me, and you can see the sort of greenness around my hand there, it is literally a Big W sheet. It's a green sheet. And the reason, because I looked at prices for proper green screens, and they were thousands, or they were at least several $100s. And I was like, I wonder if a sheet would work. A $20 sheet from Big W or Kmart or wherever I got it from, and it did. It works. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'm using a program called Restream, which the Aussie arm wrestler Jake Ward and Ryan Blue Bowen got me onto, which is really handy. It's really useful. It works well. It makes things a lot simpler if anybody is looking at going live and streaming at any point in time. This program, it's actually run through the browser. So if load up Chrome or load up Edge or whatever you're using, and you can just create account, virtual backgrounds. And should I turn the background off so you can see my sheet? I am in the frame of mind that I'm impressed with myself here. That I've managed to get away with using a bloody sheet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually show you that because I'm excited. I know everyone else is excited to see a sheet. You don't often get to see sheets. It's just so silly. If you're watching me for the first time and this is your experience, you're like, this guy's a complete idiot. It doesn't get any better. So let's get into that. I'm going to get the settings up and I'm going to see if I can get a sheet happening. Hang on. Here we go. Virtual background. And I hope that I can get it back after I turn this off. So silly. All right. Hang on. We'll deselect the background, shall we? Okay, here we go. There we go. Oh, that's the secret revealed. It's the lovely green sheet here, the $20 sheet. I'm going to try and turn it back on. I hope it works. There we go. We're back. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was the impressive sheet moment of the podcast, the sheet, the stream. I don't even know what we're doing. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the Apex Sports Festival and the tournament that we held there as part of the event, the Apex Sports Festival, as mentioned. We had an arm wrestling tournament with the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club. So there was several different divisions that people could enter. There was weight class restricted divisions, and there was also a beginners division as well as the ladies division as well. So we weren't sure. Actually, I'll briefly go over the ladies division because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to run anything, because we had a couple of girls that were keen, but it probably wasn't enough to really run like a proper class. So trying to set up a tournament where you've got 3 or 4 people, it could be quite difficult. So on the day, we had 3 ladies that did enter, Isabella Rossitano, Paula Donahoe, and her daughter, Lauren, as well. So they all entered. We did a round robin. It was much easier to do it that way. That way, everybody gets to face everybody else, and you have several matches as opposed to trying to do like a double elimination type sort of tournament, which is how everything else ran. So Isabella Rossitano, she actually took out the event last year for the women's on right. And I believe she won right and left last year, and she repeated that feat again this year. So she did a really good job. Amazing effort from Isabella Rostitano there, as well as Paula and Lauren both stepping up and having a good time on the day. And we love to see that. We'd love to see more ladies getting involved in arm wrestling. If anybody is keen on giving arm wrestling a go, we have weekly training sessions at the Kilburn Community Centre every Sunday, 5:45 until 8 o'clock. It is free. Everything is provided. We've got all the tables. All you got to do is just turn up. The community center, if you head around the back, that is where we are. You won't be able to get in from the front because the front is locked on weekends, but we have the key, the magic key, which opens the back door. So we are at the back. So if you are interested in coming along, please head around the back where the playground is, and you'll find the arm wrestling area. So that happens every Sunday without fail. I believe we have hit every single Sunday for several years now. I'm trying to think if there was a single Sunday that we've actually missed. I don't think there was. Even we went over to the Whyalla show last year and did a couple of days there. Still came back, still opened up, did the Sunday night training. Although most of the people that did turn up could barely move their arms. So, but we were there. We were there just in case you or anybody like you happened to come along and want to try out arm wrestling for the first time, and you didn't turn up to a locked door. You actually had a chance to go in and find some people that could barely move their arm, but maybe you felt really strong that night because you would have beaten everybody quite handily. Yes, we did have the ladies tournament, and that ran very well. One of the other areas that I really enjoyed was the beginners class of the tournament. And I deliberately made this class because, well, probably because of my own personal experience of entering a tournament, and even if it's double elimination, you get destroyed in 5 minutes and you're out the door. It's just, arm wrestling is one of those sports where you can lose in 1 second or even less than a second after that ready go happens. And if that's your experience of arm wrestling, and you didn't really get much of a go at it, and you might come away with a bit of a negative experience because in your first round matchup, you were matched up with somebody who's very, very good. And then your second round, you might have got another very good person. So you wouldn't have experienced arm wrestling at all, really. You just would have just been instantly beaten, and then that would have been it. So I created the beginners class specifically for people who it was their first time competing in a tournament, and it was you needed to have less than 6 months experience to be able to enter that class. So that way it gave an opportunity for people who had never competed in an arm wrestling tournament before, or who had been to the club, or they've done some sort of training and have some level of experience, but they're definitely not experienced veterans that are just going to absolutely floor each other. So it was more fair across the board. And the interesting thing with that weight class, it didn't have a restriction of weight. Sorry, did I say weight class? I did. The interesting thing with that class was that it didn't have a weight restriction. So anybody could enter. It was based on experience. It was based on trying to give people a good go at arm wrestling. Like that's what I wanted. And they could enter that class, and they could also enter a weight restricted category as well. So it was, weight in the beginners class didn't matter. So we did have some heavyweights, and they were going against lighter weight people. But the point of that class is that it was designed for beginners. It went well, and we had a 16-year-old, Hamza Hodgick, who actually took out both the right and the left arm in the beginners class at 16 years old. With, I think at that point, he'd had 3 months, 4 months of actual training. He's going to be a superstar, phenom in the arm wrestling realm if he continues on that path. And I really hope that he does. This is one of the reasons that I'm trying to sort of promote the sport and have it as a pathway that leads into something, some level of professional side to the sport, so that people can work towards something. So if you have a skill and a talent at arm wrestling, you're not just going to become the best in the state of, say, 25 people, and then that's the end of the road. We really want there to be a very high level of national competition, and then moving forwards, international competition, so that you could be a world champion. And it is one of the most prestigious awards that you can actually work towards, and that's what we're trying to do with what I'm doing right now, where I'm talking about arm wrestling, and we promoting the club, and we've got a fantastic sponsor on board. I'm moving the wrong arm, but it's with Real Estate Agents Group. It's Dave Stockbridge, who's actually one of the arm wrestlers that comes along to the club. So this is what is a fantastic thing about the sport, and something that I really love, is that people come along and they have such a good time. They meet some really good people, and then it's because it attracts people from any area. Like, anybody can do arm wrestling, which is what's so good about it. You just put your arm on a table and away you go. You don't need to have a certain set of skills developed before you can actually have fun with the sport. I think that's one of the key elements of the sport. It makes it so much like the entry level is so simple. It's so easy to get started and to be having fun straight away, instantly, regardless as to who you're on with. And it's actually better to be on with somebody who is a lot more advanced and a lot stronger, because they can take care of you. They can make sure that you're doing things in the right way and that you're having a good time at the same time. Whereas if you get on with somebody that you might be slightly stronger than, or they're just a little bit stronger than you, and you both sort of don't really know what you're doing, that's where that potential for injury does arise. However, it is an important fact that I love. This is one of the things I love about the sport. You could walk into, say, our training session on a Sunday. People are going to be friendly, they're going to be nice, and you're going to be on the table within a few minutes, or even walking straight into coming up onto the table. You're going to be on with somebody who's friendly, who's humble, who allows you to work and get better and develop skills. And then you're going to move along, and you're going to go with everybody in that room. Everyone that comes to training goes with everybody else. So you're probably going to get overwhelming amounts of advice because everyone wants to help everybody else. But you'll have a good time, and that's what's fun about it, is that you can come along and you can enjoy yourself in the sport straight away. And then as you get better, you'll find the rabbit hole. It goes deeper and it never ends, because there is always something to learn. There is little movements and little setups, and my God, it goes to the nth degree of technique and strategy. And it's such a great combination, because the barrier to entry is so low, and so anybody can come in and start having fun. But then if you want to master the sport, good luck. You're talking years and years and years and years and years to refine the techniques that work for you, the strategy, the gameplay, and even at the absolute highest levels, there is so much to what somebody is trying to do. And the difference between winning and losing could be, instead of being there, you are there. I'll make that a little bit more pronounced. There and there could win you the match at a world championship level. Yeah, it's crazy. It's an amazing sport. Obviously, I really enjoy it. So anyway, let's get back to the tournament that we had. So we had the beginners class, then we had our weight restricted categories. What I mean by that is that we had a certain amount of weight that you are not allowed to weigh more than. So the classes that we went with, we had an under 80 kilos class. We had, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head because it was a few months ago. It was under 80s, and then under 95 kilos, and then 95 kilos and above. So it was 3 weight classes, and that was on right arm, and left arm as well. Which I wonder if that's actually reversed in your camera. That's my right arm. It's probably on the left-hand side of the screen. Anyway, doesn't matter. I managed to meet, and that's my right arm. So anyway, so there was 6 different categories in weight restriction. So yeah, under 80s, under 95s, and 95 kilos and above. The interesting part about that, if you came first or second in any of those classes, then you qualified for the overall, and the overall was where the big money was. So we did have Dave Stockbridge from Real Estate Agents Group. I've gone the wrong arm again. It's reversed for me. I don't know. It's I'm looking at myself in the computer here, so I keep going to do the wrong side. That's the side I want. Yes, very good. All right. So yes, if you qualified for the overall, then in that division, the overall division, that's where the big money was in terms of prize money and the prestige that you were the overall winner of the tournament. So we had the under 80 kilos right and left hand, that was first, and then under 95s, and then the 95 kilos above, then we had the overalls. I did it that way deliberately because I wanted one of the key things that I find with a tournament day. You've got everybody there and everyone is into arm wrestling, and you've got some of the best people from around the state and around the country. They've come all the way to compete in the tournament. But once the tournament, or once their weight class is actually finished, we do something called the after pool, which is basically where you've got a whole bunch of tables set up and you've got anybody and everybody who wants to just get on and start messing around and having some fun. But what I've found in a lot of tournaments has been that people will not want to go on and do the after pulling until they've fully completed their tournament day, which is understandable because they don't want to use all their energy on a sorry, I haven't got to. I've just clicked on the comments there, and I just found that I've got a viewer. Wow, how about that? It's Peter from. Are you in New South Wales, Peter? Yeah, Peter is one of the. He's actually one of the top arm wrestlers in Australia. He's a very good arm wrestler, and he did come along to the Over the Top tournament that we had in the Gold Coast just recently, a few weeks ago. Wasn't going to compete, hasn't been training, hasn't been getting into the sport as much as he would like. I think he was distracted from some video game. Took his attention. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been. I know. Well, I remember what it wasn't. It wasn't World of Warcraft because that's what I guessed. But Peter came along and wasn't going to compete. But when you're around and you're surrounded by some of the best arm wrestlers in the country, and there is a huge tournament taking place, and you are into the sport and you've made your way up there, it's very hard to resist. And Peter was not able to resist. He did end up weighing in and making weight only just, but he entered the tournament and did quite well, I believe. I did see him on the table a few times. One of the things with that tournament was that there was 4 different tables running like side by side the whole time, and it was like there were so many matches going on, so many. And I was like, oh, there's Peter on that table, or there's Mario on that table, or there's Lachlan on that table. And I was like, there was so many. I wanted to see that one. I want to see that. And then, they would slip. So you're like, okay, well, they're going to get strapped. That's going to take a minute or two. So I'll watch this one. And then, and then they're getting set up. And then you've missed the other thing. It was crazy. There were so many matches going on, which, I mean, that's the way that they had to set that up because there were so many entrants. I think there was over 200 entrants in that tournament. But I will get to the Over the Top tournament. That is on. I wrote a little list of things that I was going to talk about, and I thought, oh, man, I am not sure how I'll go in terms of like pacing and all the rest of it. Will I have enough stuff to talk about? I think I'm literally on my very first thing, and it's been 20 minutes. But that's okay. I get excited. About the arm wrestling world, and it is an interesting thing to talk about. Well, it's fun because when you get passionate about something, you'll find that people want to just talk about it and they're excited and then they rattle on, and that's this for me, and it's very genuine, it's very honest, and I really do love this sport, and I honestly can't wait for tomorrow night because It is our weekly training session. I have been sick the last 2 weeks. So I've had to miss the training session while I recovered, but I'm back and I'm ready, and I want to get back on the table and have some fun and see all my teammates again and get back into some arm wrestling. So I just wanted to finish up on covering the Apex Sports Festival, our tournament there, the Real Cup, I'm going to get it right this time. There we go. The Real Cup, Real Estate Agents Group sponsor, Dave Stockbridge. If you're looking at selling your house, he is the man to speak to. He sponsored the event basically and sponsors the club and does an amazing job as well. I like to bring up Dave Stockbridge at Real Estate Agents Group as much as I can because he literally helps us out so much. I've got another comment here. I'm going to click on it. I think it comes up when I click on it. There we go. Daniel Schwartz. Hello, Daniel. I can talk about arm wrestling forever. I know you don't know me, but love the content you put out. Thank you very much, Daniel. I really appreciate it. I haven't met you. I would like to one day. Anybody who is into arm wrestling, you are always welcome to come and see the stuff that we're putting out. And that's one of the fun things about the sport is anyone else who is into it. It doesn't matter if they're way better than you or if they're not, or if they're a beginner level, you can get on and have fun. Like I love getting on the table with somebody who's never done it before, because you see how their technique and it all starts clicking really quickly, because what's funny, and I'm sure that you guys have experienced this many times before, is people have this preconceived idea of what arm wrestling is, and that is that they have their arm there and they go straight sideways like this, and anything else is cheating. Which is obviously not correct at all, and is probably literally the worst and most riskiest thing you could possibly do, is to have two people trying to do this, and then there's resistance, because the resistance goes directly into their humerus bone, and that is exactly how you break your humerus bone, in that manner. It is not pushing sideways like this. It is a pulling sport. That's why we call it pulling. And I've got to keep my voice near the microphone, but it is a pulling motion. I'm pulling that way. I'm going back. And when you get on with a beginner, and I always say the same thing to everybody when they grip up, and I say, have you ever arm wrestled before? And they say, oh yeah, with my dad or whatever at home. I'm like, yeah, cool. I always say this: I'm not going to pin you. I'm just going to let you do your thing, and we'll just see what happens, and then we'll just work on technique and stuff like that, because it gives them that confidence. Like, I'm not here to try to just beat you. I just want to see what you're trying to do, and maybe you actually understand what you're trying to do. Maybe you're conning me, and you're actually a really good arm wrestler. But most people, they just do that sideways pressure. When I feel that, and it's anybody who knows what they're doing with arm wrestling, that just pure side pressure from somebody who's a beginner is incredibly easy to hold that. I mean, you just frame. I'm trying to get my body in here. You just frame up against that, and they're literally trying to push over your whole body with just their arm, and it's like, that's not going to happen. So you can just sort of sit in that position, allow them to work, and sort of get the idea that no, there's more to this. There's more to what you're doing, and they don't understand it. And then it's like, okay, well, you see, if you start pulling instead of just trying to push, if you add your body weight to what you're doing, and then you allow them to pin you, and as they keep working and getting better, it is something that they can quickly grasp. And it's amazing the difference in 5 minutes time. Somebody that steps on the table for the very first time and they're just doing basic side pressure, to 5-10 minutes later, I'm actually having to work to hold on to them, to be able to to sort of stop them from beating me, which is amazing. And one of the coolest things is that just those little tips, those little micro adjustments can make such a difference. And that they get excited because it's like, oh, and I go, if you go and arm wrestle anybody now, like anyone who's not arm wrestled, you're probably going to beat them because you're putting all of your body weight into somebody else's fingers and they don't know what they're doing. And there's no way you can hold that. It's just, there's literally not. I mean, if somebody drops their entire body weight with speed and pronation and they roll into your fingers and you don't know what you're doing, you're gone. You can be the strongest man in the world. And we've seen that with Hathor Bjornsson and Devin Larratt. I mean, Hathor Bjornsson, world's strongest man, literally the world's strongest man at the time, 6'9", 190 kilos. He was on against Devin Larratt, who was 100 kilos. There's a 90 kilo difference. There's that viral video that was out there, that's still out there, of Devin just toying with Hathor, world's strongest man. And Devin does this thing, look at me, and then he just pin. Fantastic. And it just goes to show that strength is not everything with arm wrestling. And it is, I think when people click onto that and they go, there's more to this. Wow. And then, it becomes something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or like a little secret superpower, where if you understand leverage and you understand how to use your body and put your weight against somebody's weakness to keep them out of their strength, you can completely dominate them, and regardless of how strong they are. And when people sort of click to that and they go, oh, and it's, within a couple of weeks, you could have enough technique that you can literally be beating most people, which is just fantastic. I love it. I love it when people do that. We've got another comment here from Daniel Schwartz. Hello, Daniel, again. Love the fact that you're writing comments. I wasn't sure how this would go. This is the first time I've done a solo stream, but let me read your comment before I go off on a tangent. I'm just under 2 years in the sport, and I love the connections I've gained. Being a part of a community like this is incredible. I'll be putting myself to the test next weekend at first annual Jason Vale Memorial All Strap Tournament. Oh, and then what's your thought? I need to click off of it so I can read the rest of that. What's your thoughts on a tournament like this? An all strap tournament. Wow, I haven't actually heard of that before. So I like it. I like the fact that people are making changes and adjustments to what they think could improve the sport. And sometimes things are going to work well and sometimes things aren't going to work well. But if you're willing to try different things and have a tournament where people understand, hey, this is a strap tournament, there is no grip up and then people that are trying to slip, you don't have any of that. And in a lot of ways, I really do appreciate people that do that. So because it is frustrating actually as a fan and as an audience, and it's one of those things I can see as a detriment to arm wrestling is the constant, you guys know what I'm talking about here, the amount of time it takes to get two guys to set up properly and for them to just both slip. And that's like, oh, God, I feel like physical pain when that happens, because it's like, oh, God, now they're going to spend another 5 minutes getting ready with the strap. And then it's very frustrating. It's very stop-start, annoying, and it's like, good God, just get to the arm wrestling already. So starting with a strap, and I believe that's what an all strap tournament is referring to, the fact that they are starting in strap. They're mitigating and eliminating that first part where people are gripping up and getting hands, and then off the ready go. If somebody wants to get to the strap, they would have trained slips. They would have trained slipping so many times that it's bloody hard to stop them from doing it. Unless you've got like a grip like iron and you feel that this person is going to try and slip and you manage to catch them and pin them as they're trying to get away. But even that is it's not really like a proper match, is it? Because somebody's trying to just get away and slip. It's not like a proper arm wrestle where both people are trying to win. It is literally just somebody's trying to escape and to get to the strap position. So starting in the strap, I do like it. I do think it's clever. I think that there will be major changes that will happen over time in arm wrestling. I do think that there are several factors to the sport that need to change to improve the experience for the audience that is watching. And there are a lot of purists out there that I have spoken to that are like, well, too bad if the audience doesn't like it. This is the way it is. And this is arm wrestling, and that's how it's going to stay. But I don't think that mentality is good for A, the growth of the sport, or B, the people that might have wanted to join, but then they're looking at it and going, I don't like this. This is it's taking 10 minutes for one match to happen, and then it ended on fouls. There was no arm wrestling. Where was the arm wrestling? It's very easy to give a very negative experience for a person that is watching arm wrestling for the first time. So, yes, I do like the fact that you're eliminating half of those setup times. The only negative and detriment part to that is the people that are better out of the strap than in the strap. But I guess, if you are choosing to enter the tournament under those conditions, you can't complain about it. If you have the option of competing with strap or not competing, and you've chosen to compete with the strap, then that is literally your own fault if you've gone in and you're not as good in the strap. I say, regardless, go and enter the tournament no matter what, because it's going to be fun and you're going to meet a whole bunch of really awesome people. And for me, whenever I go into a tournament, I'm not great. I'm not a very highly competitive puller. So I'm not expecting to do well in the tournament. I'm more than likely going to be pinned and eliminated straight away. The reason I like to go is because there's usually a whole bunch of people that are into arm wrestling that as soon as the tournament side of it is over, you get to have an after pool with like some of the best people in the state and in the country, the people that you would never have the opportunity to go against normally. So it was like that with the over the top tournament. Over the top 2 tournament in the Gold Coast recently. We had probably some of the best people in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore. We had a whole team that came over from Uzbekistan. There was people from South Africa. There was I think 200 entrants. So plus, and these were the top level of people in the Southern Hemisphere, all in one room, all in one tournament. So if you were into arm wrestling, if you were into it at all, then like I entered the tournament. I entered the open as well. I didn't care. I just wanted to grip up with some people that I knew I was going to get beaten. But hey, it doesn't matter. I'm there. I'm going to have fun. And it's like, I think my first match, I went up, I shook hands with the guy. I was like, so excited. I'm like, hey, how you going, man? Nice to meet you. Yeah, cool. And he was just like in the zone, like, yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a tournament. I'd forgotten. I literally was like, oh yeah, we're good still arm wrestling, right? Yeah. Anyway, it was great. Had a good time, and that's the whole point, is to have fun, and that's what I like to stress, is that people can go and have a good time. And if you're getting around a whole bunch of people that are all different skill levels, if you only had the elite of the elite, and you thought, oh, there's no point entering that. I'm just going to get beaten. And then the elite just stay the elite. You never get to learn. You never get those opportunities to grip up with somebody. Yeah, they're going to beat you, but so what? You got a chance to get on with somebody you never ever get on with before. You probably never meet them, never get to have the opportunity to feel how strong they are. So, take the opportunities regardless as your skill level. It's fun. That's the bottom line. Go and have some fun, meet some fun people. I have another comment, which is awesome. I'm very happy to answer you guys' questions here. So we've got a comment that's popped up here from I'm a ODK. Yeah, it might be all. I'm probably reading. Oh, is that an L? It's probably an L. Oh, I'm an idiot. I told you at the start I'm an idiot. It's laughing my ass off. I don't know. There you go. Or what did I say? I'm a ODK. I'm gonna go with that from now on, because that sounds so much smoother. And I'm gonna clip that for myself, because I want to be like, look how stupid I am. It's so bad. I'm sorry. Laughing my ass off. I don't know. Says, yeah, I agree. Arm wrestling is intense and exciting to watch, but for new people who look at it, I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about my own idiocy. Anyway. But for new people who look at it, they may be deterred after the long setup times. I agree. Thank you. very much I am IODK. Or, I agree. I agree with that. And yeah, those long setup times are incredibly frustrating. I remember one of our guys at the club who actually started the club, Tim Graham, the Viking Tim Graham. He is very knowledgeable about the sport, and he's been into the sport for I think about 8 years now. He has a deep knowledge of the European side of arm wrestling, which I'm very surface level of that side of things. I'm more knowledgeable about the Australian and the US pullers. There are so many amazing pullers from Europe, but I have to. For me, when I'm learning, the way I learn, I need to just focus on the things that I'm finding the most interesting and the most relevant to me. And at this point in time, it is the Australian and the actual local, like my guys at the club. What's going on with these guys, as well as Australia, New Zealand, and the United States. And then I when I can very surface level have a look at the European stuff. But the good thing is we have guys like Tim Graham who has a very deep knowledge of the European scene. And Tim can say these names that I can't even pronounce. I literally can't even say them, but he knows the history about their competition history, their style. He's definitely got a very deep knowledge of the sport in those terms, and he likes to have quite spirited, I like to call them spirited, debates about the purity of the sport and the way that tournaments are run and competition and that sort of thing. So we do get to have interesting moments where we talk about why arm wrestling has evolved to be the way that it is at the moment, what things can be done to improve the sport. My way forwards is absolutely the audience and the spectators are number one of the importance, as well as just the ability to keep the sport fun. And if you keep it fun and if you keep it to the point where people can enjoy themselves watching this and having a great time, that's where you're going to find that big audience, that mainstream audience. Whereas if you are going to watch this is the point. I managed to get back there. I was like, why was I talking about Tim again? I remembered. You probably didn't know because I was rambling. It was a really long ramble about European arm wrestlers. While in my mind, I'm like, why am I bringing this up? I've forgotten. We did get back there. And oh God, I literally forgot while I was saying about why I remembered. No, I do remember. It is that I was watching the World Championships, the Arm Wrestling World Championships. I think this is about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I am a fan of arm wrestling. I'd been doing arm wrestling for about just over a year at that point, really just trying to find my feet in the sport and trying to find as much content as I could. And then he sent me this link. He said, oh, well, here's the World Championship. It's a live stream. It's on right now. You don't have to pay anything like that. Awesome. This is going to be amazing. Loaded it up. And I literally was bored in 10 minutes time. I was like, this is terrible. This is boring. It is boring to me. And as a fan of the sport and knowing what they were doing, looking for the setups, all the rest of it, the way it was presented, it was like 5 minutes to get them set up with hands, and then they would slip, and then 5 to 7 minutes to set them up in the strap, and then they would start. Oh, there was a false start. So I have to set them up again, and then it would be like, okay, get them in position, and then start, and then somebody would pin. You'd be like, oh, that was a pin. And it's like, oh, no, his elbow like slipped off right at the end as the pin happened, just like a millimeter off the end. We'll just restart that again. It's like, oh, fuck. Okay, and then they restart again, and it was like, okay, here's the next one. And the same thing. The other guy, oh yeah, there was an elbow foul of like this much, restart again, and I was sitting there going, oh God. As a viewing audience. And I believe the 2 or 3 matches I watched all of them ended in fouls. There was no arm wrestle that happened at all. And this is the World Championship. This is the best guys in the world at that time. And it was like, where was the arm wrestling part of it? it's so very frustrating to watch. Yes. Anyway, um, there are things that can be done to improve the sport. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And in terms of making it audience friendly, there are things to do. And Daniel Schwartz, who has written a couple of comments previously, he has mentioned that there is a tournament happening that he's going to be competing for the first time in, called the first annual Jason Vale Memorial All Strap Tournament. So that means it goes to show you that people are trying different things to try to improve the sport or improve the experience for people. So as we touched on before, one of the highlight things about having an all strap tournament is you're eliminating those parts where you're setting people up without straps. So it's going to speed up the tournament. It's going to make things a lot quicker. And the fact that you are strapped together means that you're just not going to get matches where somebody's about to pin and the other guy either slips and, or deliberately slips to try to make it look like, hey, I was about to be. Well, some people will do that. They're about to be pinned and they'll slip out just to save themselves and go to the strap. So there we go. And we've got another comment from my new favorite. The username, it got me, man. I've got to say, I feel so stupid. It was the L looks like an I. I have an excuse. I started off wrong, and that's what got me laughing my ass off. I don't know. Says, what's your opinion on arm wars and the way they present arm wrestling to new audiences? That is a good question, a good comment, and they have the formula right. This is something I was talking about with Ryan Bowen on our show, The Deep End, which we will be doing, I believe, we're going to do our next episode on Tuesday morning. We were going to do them the last couple of weeks. As I said, I've been sick, so I literally had no voice. It would have been a great podcast because you would have just heard Ryan and then me sitting there without being able to talk. Maybe I'll be on mute. That you could imagine that, but no, I was very sick. Anyway, let's back to your question. So my opinion on arm wars, the way they're presenting arm wrestling to new audiences, they have really nailed it. I mean, Neil Pickup is a very smart guy. And I think most people would agree that he's one of the godfathers, the founding fathers of modern arm wrestling. I believe he was the man that was responsible for getting arm wrestling on Eurosport with a big contract there, and they were able to put on amazing matches. And he understands the marketing and the production side of the sport and how to market to an audience in a way that makes it friendly and user friendly for people that have never seen the sport before. They can understand what's happening, and they can see that there are a lot of nuances, not only with setting up, but the mentality that people are trying to do certain things with their hands, their body, the way they're standing, and the strategy and the psychology that goes along with it, especially over a 6-round match. Because one of the good things that I've noticed that he's done in that production, you're getting both athletes' thoughts between rounds, which is really interesting because some people will change up their strategy and their gameplay based on what happened in the previous round. And maybe they were like, hey, I'm just going to try something here because it might work. And there's 6 rounds and I'm up 2-0 and I feel pretty confident. So I'm just going to try like a flop press. I don't like flop pressing, but I'm going to give it a go just because, it's the way that the match is playing out. So getting that little insight is quite clever, and he's really done a good job of selling the emotion of each participant. Especially Jordan Davis has really come off as somebody who is deeply passionate about the sport and very much wants to represent himself and his country in a good light. And he put a lot of pressure on himself to do that. I think in his own to his own detriment in some respects, only because I could see he felt so much pressure. And it was like he said that quite a few times, probably nearly every time they spoke in between rounds. He was, I'm doing this for my country. I'm doing this for all the people back home. And you could see the emotion side of it, which they really highlighted that very well. And It's one of those things that if you've gone and filmed that series, you'd have not hundreds of hours, but let's say 100 hours worth of footage. And you're going to go through and you're going to create a story and you're going to tell a story that's most interesting. And you need to highlight the humanity and the emotion. And you need to think of the audience and how they're going to perceive this information. Because you could literally just put the matches there and just skip over everything else. And who cares about what they were thinking? But that's actually the important part. Why do I care? Why do I care about this match? Who is this guy? I don't even know who this is. And who is the other guy? I don't know. I don't care. If you introduce the characters of the match, the opponents, and you create something that is with drama, that has purpose, that has motivation, that has interest, that's where you'll find your audience. So Neil understands that, and he understands that very well. So he's got, I can't remember how many people that actually are in the entire house, though, maybe 10 pullers that are competing in this Arm Wars series. So it would have been evident as to when they were doing the edit, he might have had a good idea as to which person or which personality would be highlighted in this way: the hero, the villain, the patriot, the trash talker. You probably will very rapidly start to get an idea as to which person and which personality fits those characters. And you do need to have a villain. You do need to have a hero. It is absolutely critical that the audience has somebody to barrack for, to root for, to support. And if you don't have that, then you will have a dead product. And that is absolutely 100% true, regardless as to the skill level that is being displayed. So you can have two of the best arm wrestlers in the world. They will have a very niche audience that will watch them no matter what. But if you want somebody who's never seen arm wrestling before to watch a match, you could say these are the two best guys in the world. If it's presented poorly with no backstory and you don't know who is who, people just don't care. They really don't, especially if they have a match where people slip and then they take 5 minutes to set them up again, and then they get a foul, and then they take 5 minutes to set them up again, and then they get another foul on the other guy, and it's like, oh god. And then they go, oh, how many rounds are there? There's 6 rounds of this, and it's taken 15 minutes to get through one, and it ended in fouls. Yeah, I don't think I'll keep watching this. Whereas if you can create drama and a hero and a villain throughout your storytelling, that's where you'll find your audience. And if you want a classic example of this, have a look at the UFC. I'm a huge UFC fan. And when that first came around, I was like, this is it for me. I'm never watching anything else. And I literally didn't for about 9 years. I've only watched the UFC nonstop until I found arm wrestling. So that was my new thing. But seeing the way that the UFC can create a story about a fight, and they do this masterfully, regardless as to who's actually fighting. They could have two very amateur guys on that, you think, well, he's not actually that good, and neither the other guy's fight's probably not going to be that good, but they get the story right, and they get the moments between the guys. And even if the person is terrible at talking to camera and they have no personality, they'll have something that they can use, where maybe they've got a highlight package of knockouts, or maybe they've got, because there's so many guys in the UFC that don't speak English at all, and they don't have to. It's not a requirement, but if they want to find greater mainstream success, then that is absolutely something that they would be in their own interest to do that, because that is where the mainstream audience lies, and that is where the big paydays lie. Some people they're not interested in that side of things at all, and that's fair enough. If you're not willing to create a persona and be able to speak to your audience and get in front of a camera like I'm doing right now and just talk to people, or talk to yourself, there's a lot of people that they shy away from that, or they just have no interest in that. They might be the world champion in their sport, or say a UFC champion, and they are very specialized in what they do. And they're like, I'm not interested in having to market myself, having to do any of that stuff. That's fine. They don't have to do that, but they are missing an opportunity to make a name for themselves, a brand, the marketing side of things that comes along with that, the big paydays, and the future in the sport. It actually really does depend on their marketability. It really does. And if there's there's so many examples of that happening, where fighters who have done terrible things outside of the ring, but because they have a massive amount of marketability, Conor McGregor, they are given immediate title shots on their return. They are able to continue to compete in the organization because they command an audience and a paying audience. And that goes for either being a hero or either being a villain. As long as people are watching, that is the number one bottom line. So you could have a Conor McGregor that people either love him or they hate him. It's very, very hard to find somebody that, if they know who he is, that they're not going to give you a strong opinion on whether they love the guy or whether they absolutely hate the guy. It is he is a polarizing figure, and because of that, people will pay to watch him fight because they either want to see him win or they want to see him lose, but they are handing over their money to see him compete. Whereas you can have somebody else who is a better fighter or more talented or with more history going into his matches, that has potential to be have a greater legacy, everything like that. But if they don't have a personality and the audience doesn't care, they're not going to get those big matchups. They're not going to get those big paydays. And it translates across every sport. Marketability is critical to the success of a sport, of an industry. And if you don't have that, you will have a very pure sport. Sure, absolutely. But no one's going to be watching it. That's the bottom line, and it's true. If we want arm wrestling to grow, which we do, which I believe that the people that are watching this at the moment, and myself, obviously, I mean, can you imagine doing arm wrestling for millions of dollars? That's where we could get this. If we keep pushing and keep promoting the sport, it has the potential, because it has the critical ingredients where you've got two opponents that are physically trying to dominate each other. And there are so many elements that come with that. You've got immediate interest in terms of it's a conflict and somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. There's going to be there will be a result at the end of this. There's no draw in arm wrestling. Well, I guess if you're doing a 6-round match, you're going to have 3-3 or something like that, but you still get a completed round every time. So you've got that side of it. You've got a whole bunch of different techniques. You've got strategy. You've got all the critical elements that go into creating a consumable package. Then you add your characters. Your characters are your actual athletes, and there are a humongous amount of crazy characters that are out there already. And you look at somebody like Devin Larratt. He's the king of trash talking, but outside of when he's doing a match and trash talking his opponent, the guy is so approachable, so friendly, so much a fantastic ambassador for arm wrestling, and has been for probably better part of a decade, traveling around the world. He's the reason I got into arm wrestling. He held a seminar here in Adelaide, which I attended, and met him in person. Great guy, and very friendly, very humble, loves to get around. So you've got those characters. You've got your John Brasink, same thing. Very humble, very friendly to people. He's not out there sort of promoting it as much, but this guy is respectful to his opponents. He's been, I think, 30 years of competition, and the giant killer. He's got those characteristics. And then you've got your Travis Bagents, where he's a villain. He's a villain character, and whether I haven't met him in real life, but he's obviously done well for himself to the point where he can be seen as a fixture in arm wrestling still, even though he is not competing as often these days. But people either love him or they hate him. He has created that. So every time he gets on camera, he's being himself, which is, or I guess it's himself. As I said, I haven't met him in person, but he's playing the persona that he's putting across is very arrogant and very aggressive in a way, but it does draw an audience. So people are either going to want to see him win or want to see him lose. But the person who's very quiet and unassuming, who doesn't want to, speak on camera, who doesn't want to have a persona, very difficult to market them if they don't have a very specific or interesting style or something that's interesting about them. So when you think about any match that you've seen or anybody that you watch in sport, the people that you watch are the highest profile, that the most interesting, and they might not be the best in the sport. I mean, look at like Anna Kournikova, for example, beautiful girl, but never won a major title, but she was probably the highest paid on the tennis tour in terms of sponsorships. She had the most interest in her. So it doesn't mean that you need to be the absolute best in the world to start getting interest. That's what I'm trying to do with our club. We're doing matches, and I know that our guys are not the best in the world. We're not. We're club level arm wrestlers. There's probably people around the state that could beat some of us. But we have some amazing matches. We have really fun, crazy wars, and it's fun as anything to watch. And if somebody is a fan of arm wrestling, they can jump on and they can watch that, and you can understand straight away what's the goal. The goal is that he's trying to put his hand here and he's trying to put his hand here. That's the understanding level that you need. It's very simple to grasp that concept. And then if you're seeing a war between two guys and it's going back and forth, and you're seeing that drama, that emotion, that element that's coming into it. This is literally just Adelaide local South Australian Titans club arm wrestling, but we can put out some of the most interesting matches because it's still arm wrestling. It's still amazing. It doesn't matter that these guys are not like the strongest guys in the world, So it's that side of it is where I'm like, oh man, I can like push our guys and make them seen by an audience, because it's like that, this is a fun thing, and this match was absolutely incredible. And it doesn't matter whether it was like for the world championship or if it was just in the local club, it doesn't matter. It's like, you got to check this out. This is a crazy match. Maybe it wasn't even a match. They were just in a pool, and it just sort of developed into a crazy sort of war with so many of those moments, which is just, it's fun. That's why I record all of our sessions, because then I got 3 hours of footage to get through every night. But it's like, oh, this is a funny moment, or this was great. We've had another comment here that's popped up from my favorite commentator. He has written, he's written 2. I've got to get through these comments here. Yeah, that's how Schoolboy got so famous. Even though he isn't at that elite level yet, he was promoted properly, and that led to millions of viewers. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And Arm Wrestling TV, their YouTube channel, I don't know if you've seen the numbers on that. They are the number 1 channel by about 500 times to the second to number 2. Their videos get millions of views, millions. And it all sort of stemmed from exactly what you were saying there, that Schoolboy, who I guess he doesn't really look like a schoolboy these days. He's like 6'6", or like 110 kilos or something. But at the time and in those videos, I remember specifically, I think the first one I saw was a video of them. I believe it was in New York, and they had a table and a little sign and $100 note, and it just said, if you beat this guy, you get $100. And I was like, oh, I want to watch this. And millions of views for that, because everyone thinks, oh yeah, I can I smashed this guy. He's a little schoolboy, you know. He's got the glasses and the Mickey Mouse T-shirt and the backpack. It's like, good luck. You can't even move this guy at all. So I know it's always funny. And there's a schoolboy. He looked very sort of disinterested. Was most of the time sort of walking over and watching something else that was going on as he's just pinning every single person that comes up. But yes, him and his brother Alex have done a tremendous job promoting the sport, and you'll see them filming the majority of tournaments, of large-scale tournaments that are happening around the world, and they have created their own little niche, and it is fantastic to see that people are able to grab onto something and present it in a way that a mainstream audience will watch it and consume it and enjoy it and come back to it and then look for more of the same, which is what has happened for them. Because, you know, if you think, okay, well, schoolboys videos, oh, cool, let me see the next one. Let me see the next one. And anytime that I bring up arm wrestling, I work in a gym full time, and I talk about arm wrestling there a lot. Imagine that. But there are so many people that when I bring up arm wrestling, which I do to every single person that comes in, but there's so many people that will go, "Oh, have you heard of this schoolboy guy?" And I go, "Oh, yeah, have I ever heard?" And then I go, "No," but no, it's a yes, he has made a very big impact on the mainstream. Which, yeah, same with Larry Wheels. He's also pushed that. And I'm just going to get to your second comment here, which is, I love that Berserker versus Sledge match. Lots of back and forth and very entertaining to watch. I loved it as well. And the Berserker Las Botta has a particular style of going absolutely crazy during matches, during training, which is why he has the name the Berserker. He's a very, very nice guy and very friendly. On the table, he is a savage, and he's very careful. He's respectful. He does allow people to work, and he's not going to go crazy against beginners or anything like that. But if you know what you're doing and you want to give him a good run, he will go to the nth degree to make sure that you leave that training session not being able to drive your own car home. And yes, him versus Sledge. Sledge is a very fantastic arm wrestler, very strong, has been involved in the sport for maybe about 4 years. Yeah, heavyweight, very strong, and discipline, likes to come along to training quite regularly. Has in the last couple of months, I think he's pulled back a little bit since we had our Apex tournament. But yes, that match, if you would indulge me to reply to my own question here, Mr. Laughing My Ass Off. Well, which actual match was it that you saw with Berserker and Sledge? Because I believe they've had a couple. Was it the one that was in the MMA cage? Because that one was at the Diamondback Fighting Championships number 12 that was held at the McGarry Room at the Adelaide Oval in front of about there was several thousand people there, and we were lucky enough, again, thank you to Craig Ike and Greg Hearn from Diamondback Fighting Championship for allowing us to go and present arm wrestling and put on some amazing matches in the MMA cage. So that did take place, and I see you have responded to me there. So yes, it was in the MMA cage. I haven't seen the others. Well, you are in luck, my friend. If you have a look at my Facebook page, you will find all of our super matches there. They are also on the Hollywood Matt Connolly YouTube channel. There are some literal incredible matches. The Berserker and Sledge one was phenomenal. There was also a match that happened on that night between the Viking and Leroy, which you will enjoy that one as well. That actually took place first. And we were slotted in between two different fights. So the earlier match was the Viking versus Leroy. And then we waited about another 2 hours, and we managed to get Sledge and the Berserker on board and get them into the cage. And yes, wow. I mean, I remember being so excited that night because the matches they couldn't have been better, really. It was so good. It was so good, and it wasn't like a flash pin. It was an absolute war, and there was literally $500 to the winner, like $500 cash. I mean, you think how many times have you had the opportunity to arm wrestle for $500 by winning one match? Well, that was that night. So they really put the effort in, and yes, Last the Berserker did come away with the win, but it was hard fought. Man, it was incredible. Yeah, I can't even this. Like I was so excited after the match, and I was just like I was shaking. I was so excited. I was like, this is it couldn't have been better. And it took me about a week to edit that footage together. And if anybody has struggled their way through using Adobe Premiere Pro or whatever, After Effects or something, it was After Effects. Oh my god, yeah, that was painful. It literally took me a week just to get like the intro going. Yeah, so I avoid that program as much as I can. I edit I literally have been editing everything on my phone for like the last 3 years using an app, a free app called InShot, because it's very simple, and most of the time, I'm wrestling the way that I film it. I'll set up a static camera. It's one shot pointed straight forwards, and there's no angle changes or anything like that. And so when I'm editing, all I got to do is just chop the before and after, and then add the names, and there you go. Simple. So I didn't need to use like a high-end graphics program or anything like that. But with that MMA match, yes, I wanted to make it special, and because it was a special match, so added the intro, and I bought a couple of templates, and really tried to make it as best as I could to present a match of that quality. So yeah, I was very excited with how it came out, and that match worked really well. So yes, I have upgraded from the phone, although I do sometimes find things easier on the phone to edit. I am using, what am I using? A free program, another free program called Video Proc Vlogger, which again, it's pretty basic. It does go into stuff as much as you would like it to, but I just want to use the simple stuff. I'm cutting, I'm editing, I'm putting names. That's all I need. I don't want to have to look at like these flashy graphics and all the rest of it. It just takes way too much time. So yeah, that's the way that I'm moving forwards now. But yeah, sometimes it is easier on the phone, literally, and I just grab hold of stuff. And the good thing about it is I can just do it anywhere, and I do a lot of it while I'm either at work or if you have 5 minutes and it's like, wait, I'll just quickly add that little thing there, and then so that's why I'm able to sort of put out as many videos as I can, because I'm on the phone all the time to edit videos. And if you come up and talk to me and I'm on my phone, I'm probably editing a video. Daniel Schwartz has written another comment here. Hello, Daniel. You've either stepped out and come back, but good to see you again and hear from you again. What are your thoughts on live streaming practices? Well, this is my first go at it by myself. I'm hoping that it works out all right. As I said, I've literally just got a sheet behind me, a BW sheet. I'm quite happy with that. I brought that up at the start of the thing. $20. Hey, seriously, like these proper green screens, yeah, if you look at the prices of those, they are hundreds of dollars. And I think there isn't like just a shop you can go to get them yet. You have to order them online. So it was like, well, I want to do this tonight, and I don't want to have to go and wait 3 weeks to get something from the US or whatever. So like, it's good. I'm just going straight with the sheet, and it worked. So there you go. Anyway, but yes, live streaming practices compared to recorded footage. Well, the reason I'm starting to dip my toe into the live streaming side of things is I had my eyes opened by somebody you might have heard of, Ryan Bowen, who has actually helped me a tremendous amount, and I will support that guy forever. He has done so many things to help out not only myself but the club and several other key people in the streaming and arm wrestling content creation world. I think most people would actually be surprised how many people Ryan supports and gives advice to and helps out. I think any one of the arm wrestling channels that you see or that has done anything Ryan's probably helped them out and continues to. So yes, very good guy, and I appreciate the assistance that he has given me. But yes, so streaming, I like it. I enjoy it. I like the fact that you can interact with people like such as yourself. And you, when he explained this Restream program to me, which it has all these fantastic features like that are very easy to use. They're all set up and ready to go. You just click the button. Like I just click your comment and it just pops up. Or there it is. That's just so simple. And having the ability to do that and to interact with fans, but is a highly sought after fact. But yes, live streaming in terms of being able to speak to your audience, and I have seen laughing my asses off comment there. It could be wrong, but I believe live streaming practice pulling at your club. So there are those two elements to live streaming, as you are correct in identifying, and hopefully by answering both sides of it. Thank you very much, Daniel, and laughing my ass off there so that I can cover both sides of it. So live streaming in terms of content creation to be able to speak to an audience. Love that. Love the fact that I can interact with you guys straight away. And same with what Ryan, what the Aussie arm wrestler, what Uncle John, all those guys are doing. It does help to create an atmosphere of community, which I really appreciate. Live streaming the actual events of live events versus what I was talking about just then. So live stream as a content creator talking to the audience, and live streaming an actual event. I do like the fact that there are live streams. I think that is definitely a big step forwards. I think that the live streams that have been put out in the last couple of years, I appreciate that they are putting them out. I think that they need to be careful what I say. The production level could be a lot better. Let's put it that way. And it can actually harm your brand or your. I'm stepping on eggshells here, but if you put out a very low quality, average, badly lit, poorly produced product, and it's like, hey, here's a live stream, it's like, it can turn people off. It's not overly difficult to put a camera and get somebody who knows how to light something and have a go at making it look as good as you can. The fact that is that the audience that's watching are arm wrestling fans. You're not going to have a mainstream audience that's going to be watching. It's going to be people that are into the sport that are going to be watching that. So you get an opportunity to practice while nobody's watching. Which is what I'm doing now, because obviously I've only got a few of you guys in here, and I appreciate having people here, which is amazing. Saturday night, what better place to be? But if you are streaming an event, this is why I haven't streamed any of our stuff, and deliberately, because I've had the opportunity to do that. I'm not going to do it if it's going to look absolutely terrible. I'm going to do it if it looks professional, and if there's commentary, and if there is good lighting, and there are moments to be able to present the product in the way that it should be presented. If I just pointed my phone and just loaded up Facebook and pressed live and then said, hey guys, I'm streaming the training, and just had it, and it was at an angle and it was badly lit and you couldn't hear properly and there was all this background noise, you're going to turn that off pretty damn quick. Because if you're not set up correctly and you haven't got the ability to present your matches properly, don't do it. That's my advice. Don't embarrass yourself, and don't make it to the point where the sport looks very, very amateur. It is much smarter to film your training sessions, go back and edit them into something that is entertaining, because as we know, there's so many stop-start moments in arm wrestling where you can grab hold of somebody, you're getting set up, and then you slip, and then there's a couple of minutes of nothing really happening while they're setting up, and both guys are not even really watching. If it's just a casual thing, they're just like, yeah, we just get the strap. Yeah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if you guys aren't invested in it, why would I be as an audience member? And especially if it's just training, like if you're just streaming training, it's pretty bloody boring to watch that unless you know who the people are and you have a story or you some reason to be watching. It's sort of like, to me, it would be frustrating because I want to arm wrestle. I want to get on and be like, hey, I want to arm wrestle with you guys. But obviously, you can't do that when you're just watching somebody train. So I would actually say that it could be a mistake to stream poorly produced product content, and especially stuff where it's really boring to watch. And if you are in your club and you're like, hey, let's put a stream on, maybe just make it so it's just so your local people could watch. Because if it gets to an audience that people are like, this club that I really enjoy is streaming, let me have a look, and then they have a very negative experience, then I'm not going to watch the next one. Even if you make the next one really good, it's like, well, yeah, I know what that looks like and I didn't like it. So yeah, you think about it, you've got a 3-hour training session. Well, that's what we do at our club, 3 hours, usually longer. No one wants to leave because we're having so much fun. But there is a lot. I know that if there was a camera on and it was just on in the corner or pointed at one of the tables, that table's not going to be used the entire time. And even if it was, you don't know who's on there and you don't know what they're doing. And they might just be practicing something. Maybe just be practicing slipping, or maybe they're just practicing at the same move over and over and over. And it's like, why are you putting this out there? This is not good content. Put out good content that people want to watch. It's very easy to get it wrong. You get it wrong, you turn your audience off. They don't watch again. Yes, the lessons of marketing here. I'm just talking about my opinion, my experience, but hopefully there's some tips that people could take and they could utilize to if they. My suggestion is anytime that you go to your training session, just grab your phone and just film it. Like, get one of these things. There's a little stand, right? You just this costs like $10. Sit your phone on it and just record. And you can just frame it in the way that you've got one table. You record that table with 3 hours worth of content, and then when you get home, just flick through and find a fun moment or an exciting moment or an interesting moment and get rid of everything else. And then put that little interesting moment out and go, oh, this is crazy. And it might be 30 seconds. And that's all you need. You have 3 hours, but there was only 30 seconds of something that was actually really interesting. That's all you need to put up. If you put 3 hours up and you go, oh, there's this crazy moment at 2 hours and 12 minutes and no, it's not going to work. People aren't just not going to do it. And especially if they go, oh, 3 hours of arm wrestling, man, and they click it and it's like, and then 30 seconds later, they're like, nah, this is no good. And then the next time you go to put stuff up, they're like, oh, I know what that is. I don't like that. And then, it's away you go. So very easy to get it wrong. I think Neil Pickup, getting back to that, has done it the right way. If you watch that, you could almost take the arm wrestling matches out of it and it would still be compelling. That's very clever, and it was it's really good to see that those levels of production are happening in the sport and in the world of arm wrestling. So well done to Neil Pickup. And the arm was Iron House, I believe it's called. My only criticism, it is criticism, but I think that, well, again, I'm going to get my words correct the way that I phrase this, but if they said what would you do differently with this, the only criticism I have is I do believe it's running a little bit long. I think they could trim it up. Just if they brought it down from 30 minutes to 15, I think it would be an improvement. I think that having so much interview time is a detriment, because you're taking away from the moment of the arm wrestling, and I'm getting so much about their thoughts, which is good. It is really powerful to have that. And as I was talking about before, you need that to create interest in the match, interest in the characters, to keep the audience invested. I do feel that having interviews in between every single round does drag it out a little bit too long, just a little bit. I think if it was a little tighter, and that it was more based, just slightly more based around the actual match, and then you could have like these fantastic intro moments leading into the match, and then have a lot of content with the actual match. And then if something's really interesting, or if there was a really interesting thought that somebody had in between rounds, put that in there. But having both guys talking for 30 seconds in between rounds, it does make the video a little bit too long for me, just in my opinion. But it doesn't mean that I don't like it. Doesn't mean I don't think it's high level quality production, and doesn't mean that I think he hasn't done a tremendous job. That is just the only thing that I would change. But fantastic work to Neil Pickup. He has done an excellent job there. We've got a couple of other comments here. We've got a nice little clapping emoji from Archangel Valentine Vjoy. Thank you very much for the clapping emojis there. Nice to see that you're watching, that you're invested, that you've said hello. Really appreciate it. And we've got another comment here from my favorite commentator, laughing my ass off. Do you post more highlights on your YouTube or Facebook? I pretty much post them on both, but I do tend to post a little bit more on Facebook, and there is a very specific reason for that, and that is YouTube has a very specific algorithm that requires. I want to get this right. I want the way that I try to explain this to somebody, and I sort of messed it up the other day, and then I felt bad, and I had to rethink about it, like to get this correct, because I think it came off offensive. But the way that YouTube is at the moment, it very much rewards the high-end, high-quality production. And it's very difficult for people that are amateur, or that are putting out content that's very niche and trying to find their audience. They are not punished, but they find it very, very difficult to find a platform, and to find engagement, and to find people that will be watching their videos on YouTube. And Facebook, with the ability to promote and share the videos directly to different groups, to different pages, to different people, that I have found a lot more success and a lot more engagement, and a lot more people that have found my content and have followed the page or anything like that from Facebook. So that side of things, I do post both videos on both platforms. But for an example, I will put a video on Facebook and get 25,000 views, and I'll put that exact same video on YouTube with the same tags, the same thumbnail, everything identical at the same time, and I'll get 3 views. And that's literal. 3 views, 6 views. I've put videos, I've got 0 views, like no views. If you've ever, it's almost a challenge. See if you can do that. Put a video up and get no views. And that video has got 20,000 views on Facebook. So I know that people like the content, and I know the content is good, but trying to get an audience and get up and running and get steam on YouTube is very difficult. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it just makes it a lot harder. One platform that I have been very impressed with, which I'll give you a couple of seconds to try to guess which one it is. Maybe if you have a guess at which platform I'm going to suggest here in the comments, that this platform, relatively new, a couple of years old, has performed magnificently in terms of being able to find an audience. And this platform, putting content up there, has worked extremely well. but they haven't really got the monetization side of things to the level that Facebook or YouTube has. But yeah, yes, you've got it there. Laughing my ass off has hit it on the head. Oh, Daniel Schwartz is heading off. Thank you for your input. Hope you have a great weekend. Got to run. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your comments and for watching. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll do this again and we'll see you there, and all the best for your tournament next weekend. And yes, laughing my ass off has actually hit the nail on the head with which platform he's guessed. He's got it with TikTok. TikTok has, I'm not sure how they've set up their algorithm, but you can very easily find an audience on there. And I have a video that I have 8 views on YouTube with this video, 8 views, and on TikTok it has 1.3 million views. Same video, same tag, same thumbnail. 1.3 million versus 8. So, you know, it's sort of the point that I was making before about YouTube. And this is how I very poorly explained this to the person that I was talking to about this a couple of weeks ago, is I think YouTube is shooting themselves in the foot the way that they've gone about their algorithm. And the reason I say that is when you reward the top level creators, which you should do, you should reward the people that are spending money and putting a lot of time and effort into making their videos as highly produced and as marketable as possible. They should be rewarded. But when you alienate the 99% of people that are trying to find an audience and you make it almost impossible, they will find somewhere else to go. And I think that if YouTube continues the way that they are going with their structure of making it to the point where it's years of hard work and a hard slog to build an audience on their platform, and other platforms come around that are making it very easy to find an audience, that YouTube, it could, if they continue with that model, I think that they will get to a point where they'll either need to restructure, or they could be in trouble. Yeah, that's my thoughts about where they're headed. But yes, I was trying to explain that the other day, and I sort of messed it up and made it sound like I was against YouTube. I'm not against YouTube at all. I think that it is a fantastic platform that people can like make a literal, legitimate living, full-time income, and potential of millions of dollars, be able to build a brand, market themselves, and it's all for free in terms of you don't have to pay to be on the platform. You can upload your content, you can find your audience. I think that the way they've just changed things, it is very difficult for creators that haven't been that are trying to get their foot in the door. If they start on YouTube, I think they're going to find it pretty hard, and you'll find that people will, in a lot of ways, it does eliminate the people that aren't willing to face the adversity and put the time and effort in to improve themselves to be successful. However, when you can find success quickly and you can find an audience, and if you are putting some time and effort into your videos on a different platform that is rewarding you quickly with thousands of views, with people that are interested in what you're doing, you're getting engagement, you're getting content, you're going to continue with that. You're not going to be going back to YouTube. So we'll see what happens with that. We've got a new comment from somebody else who's jumped in here. Hopefully I'll get his nickname correct. Boardroom, what's up? Hello, how are you? Welcome to the stream. It is Saturday night here in Adelaide, South Australia. Where are you guys watching from? He also says he puts zero effort into his channel. Well, how is your channel going? If you put zero effort into it, if you say you've got millions of subscribers, it is a difficult thing to find an audience on YouTube. I believe at this time it's not impossible, and it can be it's sort of the premier channel, the premier platform to find an audience. If you do find an audience, you are making your way through to the millions of dollars at the upper ends. But the difficulty rating is extreme. So we'll see how it goes. Fantastic. So yes, trying to find where you guys are watching from and who's watching from where around the world. And we've got Boardroom who's watching from the good old United States of America in Louisiana. Did you guys have a big tournament there recently? I'm just trying to remember. I think there was a big tournament that was actually in Louisiana, but I might be getting it mixed up. But yeah, and so Boardroom says he has 20 subscribers. So, well, no, he's changed to 39. He's doubled his subscribers in less than a minute. Which, if you keep that up, you'll get to those upper levels that I was talking about. And laughing my ass off is also from Adelaide. So, hello. Maybe have I met you? You could be a secret person that is maybe one of our club members with a secret name who's writing and tricking me with the acronyms there. Oh, here we go. We have another comment here. I didn't hear of it. Then again, I'm not in the loop. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was a really big tournament with some big names that happened in the US, and it was a couple of weekends ago. But on that weekend, they literally had about 3 or 4 tournaments on the same weekend that were all very high quality tournaments. So I might have mixed it up a little bit, but nice to see that somebody from America is a fan of arm wrestling that's going to watch somebody from little old Adelaide talk about arm wrestling live on a Saturday night. Doesn't hide the fact that Saturday night I would rather sit in here and talk to you guys than be out partying or doing any of those crazy things. Although the good thing is I am well past that area and stage of my life, thankfully, because it was never something that I don't like going out dancing, and I don't think many guys do. I think the only reason they actually do it is because there's women there, but thankfully we've moved on from that. So yes, very, very happy to be able to sit here and talk to you guys on a Saturday night. And yeah, so laughing my ass off says, I found you from the MMA event. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I went there after my friend invited me, and I loved the arm wrestling there. I was lucky to find your channel. Oh, that's very nice to hear. Yeah, this was something I was going to bring up, actually. I thought it might have been a little bit negative, but we didn't get a lot of people coming up at the MMA event, which was a big surprise to me. I was thinking that in a room full of several thousand fight fans that we would have had a lot of interest, people that would have come up, and our guys are very friendly. We're quite happy to get on the table with anybody and show them how to do it. And as I said before, the last thing we're going to do is just pin somebody. We're there to sort of help and demonstrate how the sport works. But we only had a handful of people actually come up and try, and it was disappointing. I honestly, I was disappointed in the fans in the room. And obviously they're there for the MMA fighting, and that's fine. And we were there too. And as I said, I'm a big fan of the MMA and the UFC. So I was watching the fights and invested in what was going on. But yeah, I was quite surprised actually that hardly anybody actually came up and tried arm wrestling. But if you were one of the few, very much appreciate that you were there. Did you actually have a go with us, or did you sort of stand back and have a look for a bit? Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a very positive experience for us overall. Amazing matches that took place in the cage. I just would have loved to. I was very much expecting that people would be coming up in that environment. We thought this was the right audience, that this was the right place for people to get involved in arm wrestling. But yeah, it didn't seem to pan out that way. But yeah, Boardroom has said, do you think Devon can put on 200 pounds in the next few weeks? Well, he did put up a funny thumbnail video yesterday of him basically looking like he did put on 200 pounds, very overweight. It was obviously one of those filters that makes you look like you weigh, 500 kilos or something. No, I don't think that he can. But although my prediction for the match is 6-0 Levan, and I haven't changed that, and I don't think I will change that regardless as to what happens. I do really appreciate the fact that Devin Larratt is taking this match, he's taking it seriously, and he's giving himself the absolute best opportunity to be successful. And that is why he is a champion. That is why he is a legend of the sport. And he does have an outsider's chance. I don't think he will, in terms of, I'm giving a 6-0 prediction. However, I don't think that that is a negative for Devin. And if you just looked at it on the surface and said 6-0, yeah, sure, okay, well, it's a whitewash. But I do think that Devin has the ability to put on a very good match. And if I think I was talking about this with Ryan, if he is able to slow down Levan enough times over the match, before it gets to 3 wins for Levan, so if he's able to slow him down the first match, slow him down the second match, and then in the third, if he can stop Levan, I think he could turn the tide. He is a master of draining the opponent's energy. So he has that. I think that's his only path to victory, really. He's not going to outpower Levan. He's not going to out-explode Levan. But that is his path to victory. Tire out Levan in those early rounds, even if you lose, and then hopefully get a stop. If he gets a stop, that match could turn around on a dime, and there will be a lot of people were going, "Oh my god, this is it! It's going to happen! Why did I put $1,000 on Levan?" So yeah, that's how I see that match happening. I don't think that Devin has enough ability to stop Levan's hit, basically 6 times in a row. I think it'll be a very similar outcome to what happened with very similar outcome to what happened with Devin versus Denis Siblankov, which was a bit of a whitewash on I know it was a left arm, which isn't. I mean, Devin has the ability. I'm just going to turn my phone off. Sorry, it's dinging. He does have the ability to do very well on left arm, but obviously Denis Siblankov was an absolute monster at that time. I'd like to see him come back. Actually, I'd love to see if Denis could get back to being elite again. So, yes. Here we go. I'm working my way through your comments here. After I saw Berserker going berserk, I was too worried to give it a go. It's fair enough. Yes, he does go berserk. He is an absolute monster on the table. I think he at one point leapt up onto the table with his hip, which I think I heard some gasps and laughs from the audience when he did that. But yes, understandable. Especially, this is one of the things that frustrates me, is that people on some of their only viewing experiences of arm wrestling is them watching arm break videos on YouTube. And I have heard this so much, is that people go, "Oh, no, I'm not going to give arm wrestling a go. I'll break my arm." I've seen so many videos of people breaking their arm, and it's like, you've seen people breaking their arm who don't know how to do it. It's like putting 2 people in a boxing ring who've never boxed before and going, "There you go and fight each other," and somebody gets hurt. And it's like, that's what's going to happen. 2 people don't know what they're doing. They're both doing side pressure, and all the pressure goes to their arm, their humerus bone, and they get a break. That's not how arm wrestling works. And we're working very hard to disassociate that stigma with the sport. Arm breaks are bloody rare, I gotta tell you, especially at the competent level of, I mean, how many tournaments have you watched where there's been an arm break? A couple in years. I think that I'm aware of, that since I started watching, since I started in Australia, there's been 2, and I think there was 1 in America, and that's out of, I don't know, 300 events. So you think, how many matches have there been? And that's probably I don't know. I'm getting passionate here. It's one of those things that annoys me. You can tell the anger is coming up, because I want people to be able to, without fear, come up and have fun. And that's what I'm trying to promote. Hey, this is a fun thing. And that's why I always say to people, I'm not going to pin you. You just do your thing. And I don't stonewall them. I allow them to move so that there isn't just non-stop pressure. I'm letting them move, and then I'll slowly sort of, keep dynamic movement there to keep them safe. But I'm not just going to smash somebody or hold or stonewall them so that they're trying to push over, like, going up to the side of a house and trying to push it over. It's I don't know. It's a whole other topic. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to work my way through your comments as we go through. So, Boardroom says, with enough pancakes and determination, it can be done. Whew, with enough pancakes, I don't think there's enough pancakes in the world. They could do 200 pounds, 90 kilos, in a few weeks. Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think if that would, like, if there was an actual, if that was the competition, like if that was the challenge, like, could you put on 90 kilos? I don't know how many weeks there are until the event. Let's say there's 4 weeks. I'm not sure how much there is. It might be less than that. Let's say 4 weeks, 90 kilos. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Even if it was like, say, an elite competition, and it was like, okay, to win this competition, you got to put on 90 kilos. I don't think that's gonna happen. Even with like the best people in the world, best nutritionists, whatever. It's like, yeah, no. But uh, I understand the point you are making, which is that Devin is trying to get as big as possible because Levan is an absolute monster. Yeah, my thoughts, and maybe you guys would think about this in the comments here. This is probably a little controversial. I don't think weight is as important as people make it out to be. At trying to get this phrasing right. I think at that level, it does have a factor, but I don't think it's the critical factor. I don't think that him putting on a lot more weight is as important as him practicing his fundamentals and his strategy as to what he's going to be doing in the match. The weight is almost it's almost that 1% thing. It's like, I need that as extra support around my joint, so that I'm able to, contain or, not just get blown out of the water because somebody is heavier. But yeah, I don't think it's as critical. I mean, and the reason I say that is just from years of seeing smaller guys just wreck bigger guys. And even myself, I'm 95 kilos, and I get destroyed by guys that are 60. That they're better, they're stronger, they're quicker, they're more explosive, they're better versed in the setup, even if I've got 30 kilos of weight on them. I think if you had two identical people with the identical skill set, identical strategy, and one was heavier, they would have the advantage. I think it does play into the ability to win, but I don't think it should be weighted as much or as heavily as it is in terms of a critical factor to winning a match. We have Aussie Dave, arm wrestling. I think I know who that is. That is one of our club members. As David Hux. Hello, David. Thank you for stopping by and making a comment. He thought that the Sledge versus Berserk match was a killer match, and I agree completely with you there, David, as well as your matches that you've had recently. How did you feel with the Apex Sports Festival tournament? I know you competed in the heavyweight class. How did your day go overall? And did you get in some fun after pulling with a whole bunch of different people? Did you get on with Mario Tembarkis at all? I would have liked to have heard how that went. So thank you for your comment, Dave. And we have the Louisiana native boardroom. He says, Devin versus Lorette. Devin versus Lorette. Well, maybe there was a mistake there. It could be Devin versus Levan. It's great for the sport. I really hope more people get involved. Armbed has also really helped. I met some really good fellows in my area and we practiced. That's awesome. And he says, I said, really? A lot? That's fine. And I know Devin's son broke his arm a while back. Yes, I did see. Yeah, it was probably, well, maybe just over a year ago now. I think his son's name is Milo. But yes, he did get a an arm break, unfortunately. But it is one of those risks in the sport. And of the absolute worst thing that can go wrong in arm wrestling is an arm break. Whereas if you look at nearly every other sport, and there are so many things that can go wrong where you can be killed, where you can get major permanent injuries, and to have the worst thing that can happen to you being an arm break. Nobody wants an arm break, and it is a nasty thing to see and have somebody experience. But it's not as if they've got knocked out. It's not as if they, were playing football and 5 people crashed into them and broke their collarbone and leg. And in terms of overall injuries, I think that it is probably one of the safest physical sports out there, where you are literally in a combative environment with somebody else. One of the high interest parts of promoting the sports for me is that it is very, very safe. And that's why I get so frustrated that people's experience of arm wrestling has been, I saw somebody break their arm on YouTube. It's like, so yes, very frustrating. Laughing my ass off, I don't know, says, I feel like the only good thing about gaining rapid weight is hand thickness. Yeah, you might be right. I guess it goes into your game plan though, and it would be if you are trying to use that as your strategy in winning a match, and you need a thicker hand to be able to win the match, then maybe that would be something that you would need to do. But I don't think it's such an overwhelming advantage to either put your health on the line in terms of trying to stack on like 40 kilos to get your hand a little bit thicker. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I don't like the fact that people are putting so much emphasis on weight. I do see the reason, and I do think it is a factor. I just don't think it's such a critical factor. Here we go. We've got Boardroom. They had to put an arm break in the movie over the top. Of course they did. Of course they did. You're creating drama. It's a Hollywood movie. What have we got? What's the worst thing that can happen? An arm break. Put that in there. We got to have that happen. That's got to be exciting. And we've got Boardroom says, I played American football for 13 years. It's far more dangerous. Yeah, I believe that there's been a few documentaries recently that have highlighted the dangers of American football, even with all the protective equipment. And I think that has actually created a scene where people might feel that they are protected, which makes them go in for more dangerous hits, or it's just that accumulation of damage. Because if you've got a helmet on and you take a serious hit to the head, it might be mitigated slightly, or you might have get half the impact, but then you stay on the field and you're able to go out and get another large impact. Whereas if you didn't have the protective gear, and that first impact might have actually prevented you from continuing in the game. It's almost sort of like the argument with boxing, and saying that those standing 8 counts is sort of a little bit crazy, because somebody gets hurt, they get injured, they get to the point where the referee has to step in, and they give them 8 seconds. I'll give you 8 seconds, and then I'm sure you'll be fine after those 8 seconds. They'll go out there again and get smacked again, and oh, you got hurt again. Hang on, let me give you another 8 seconds, and you go out and get hit again. That's one of the reasons that the UFC has such a low injury rate, and because you get hurt, you're done. That's it. Fight's over. You get hurt, and the other guy's jumped on top of you, he's swarming you, and the referee's pulled him off. The fight's done. You don't get the opportunity to, we'll give you 8 seconds and get back in there. It's always been such a crazy thing to me. Aussie David Huxley. The Apex competition was very well run. Mario is a beast. Arm breaks aren't the end of the world. And unfortunately, David has firsthand experience in this area. One of the few people that I've heard getting an arm break in arm wrestling. Unfortunately, it happened. I believe you were that one of our guys had gone up for a bit of a training session, a bit of a match with you at your place, or was at a mutual friend's place out in the countryside. And second or third round, you did get that classic arm break, and it was a humerus bone break, and we were all very sad to hear that it had happened to you. And it's good to see that you've continued on with the sport, and and back competing again, which is just amazing. And did you go right arm? It was the right arm, I believe, you had the injury on. Did you only compete with left, and did you do right at all on that day? So I'd like to hear back from you. And how is the recovery? I think it's been a year and a half now. So is it back to where it was? And how do you think you'll go in the future? Will you continue to compete with your right arm? All right, we have Fox 8 Ball. Hello, Mr. Fox 8 Ball. I see you on every chat in the arm wrestling world. You are obviously a big fan, and it is very nice to see you in here. Every time I've looked at Ryan Bowen's videos or Jake Ward, the Aussie arm wrestler, there you are. You are obviously a big fan of the world of arm wrestling, and it is wonderful to see you in here. It is a Saturday night in Adelaide in South Australia. Where are you actually from, Fox? Are you an American? Are you a local Adelaidean? I'd love to hear thoughts of where the viewing audience are. Viewing audience of where you guys in the chat are watching my silly stream with my sheet behind me. Love to hear from you guys. Boardroom and Fox 8 obviously know each other there. They're giving each other a bit of a hello. Boardroom, I've broken my leg playing Mortal Kombat with a Mortal Kombat. Okay, you can break your bone doing anything. I would love to hear the story behind that. Mortal Kombat obviously is a video game. So was it at the stand-up arcade cabinet, or were you sitting down on the PlayStation or something? Or are you old enough to remember the stand-up arcade cabinets? I am a big Street Fighter 2 fan, and when that game first came around, I thought it was the best thing ever. And then when Mortal Kombat came around, it was unbelievably amazing, and it was brutal, and it was gory, and it was blood, and it was amazing. And just you'd be hanging out to watch somebody put some money in and play it, and everyone would run over to watch it because it was so new and so interesting. And there was the Mortal Kombat days, and it was around that time that those sort of games made their way to the home consoles with the blood removed, which was ridiculous. But then they had a cheat code that you could enter to get the blood back. So I think everybody was quite happy that the developers included that, and somehow it slipped out. I mean, it was about this blood cheat code, but there you go. And we've got the fatality comment. Yes. Fatality. How did you break your leg playing Mortal Kombat? I'd love to hear the story. Boardroom, indeed. Yes. I almost skipped your comment there. The Drew 24. First comment we've got from yourself in here. Thank you for making the comment and for watching the show. The funniest thing, or the finniest thing about Over the Top is where Lincoln Hawk beats Bull Hurley. That is a tongue twister of a name. Bull Hurley. And wins the prize. But it's double elimination. That is a good point. He needs to beat him one more time to actually win the event. You are probably the only person that has pointed that out. We'll assume that, he can't have had a loss, can he? Because it's grand finals. There has to be a winning side and a losing side. The losing side has to win twice to win. You are absolutely correct. That is a plot hole pointed out by the Drew there. Well done. You're absolutely correct. He needs to win twice. He needs to knock the other guy into the losers bracket and then win again. So there you go. Maybe somebody should be pointing that out to Jake Ward. He is the biggest fan of the Over the Top movie. Fox says he's an addict and that he is from Scotland. Oh, fantastic. It's 4 p.m. All right. Well, it is 12:30 in the morning on Sunday. It has gone from Saturday night into Sunday morning here in Adelaide. It's quite a difference in time. you have the rest of the day down there. Saturday afternoon, here you are watching Hollywood Matt Connolly. I'll give you a nice big bicep flex there just for you. Nobody else look at that. That's just for Fox 8. And Boardroom says that he beat me. I picked him up to body slam and rolled my ankle. 3 breaks in my ankle and a spiral fracture in my fibula. Wow. Whew. He beat you and you got angry and it ended up hurting yourself worse than he probably could have hurt you. Wow. Yeah, that's nasty. Those games. I have literally, this is Fight Night 3. It's a boxing game on Xbox. I lost to the final boss like about 10 times in a row, and I got so angry. I ripped the game disc out of the thing. I pulled it out and snapped it in half and then threw my controller into the wall where it burst apart into pieces. Yeah, those games can really get to you. And I think, yeah, I can understand if you've got a brother that, especially if he was rubbing it into you as well, like, yeah, you're going to lose it. But then to also hurt yourself on top of that, yeah, that's a double whammy. Oh. 2 people watching need. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong there. Fox 8 says 2 people watching need that haven't pinned the like button yet. Oh, haven't pinned the like button. Is that on my Facebook page that you're referring to? I will go and do that after this stream. Or is it a like button in the Restream that you are referring to? We shall find out. Thank you for your comment. We have the Drew. He's come back again. Lincoln Hawk lost once already. Only thing we can say is Bull just conceded and was too embarrassed to try again. Yeah, that's you've hit it up. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's actually pointed that out before. I'm sure somebody has, but I haven't heard it before. So well done, the Drew. You've masterminded this one. We've got Foxy saying hello to a couple of the other people that are, and Drew. I like doing this. This is fun, working my way through your comments here. It's probably more fun actually because it allows a bit of a back and forth, bit of interaction with you guys, as opposed to me just talking and then you're sort of watching it. And I was sort of a little bit frustrated if I watch a live stream and they're not sort of interacting with the audience that is there. And it can be hard sometimes if you go off on a tangent, you start talking about something, or you want to get a comment or a thought finished or completed, or if you're doing a back and forth with somebody else, to be able to refer to the comments that are popping up. But I love the fact that we've got a few people in here at the moment and that we can get through some communication and have some fun and get movie plot holes pointed out to us. That's quite good. I wonder if that's on the IMDb. If you go to the IMDb website, the Internet Movie Database.com, they have a section there of movie mistakes, movie plot holes. You could be the first person to enter that. It could be a race now between the people that I've just said that to get credit as to pointing out that mistake. So have a look at the imdb.com website and see if you can point that out to them, because that is quite a good fact you've picked up on there. Fox 8 says the best boxing game was NES Punch-Out. Yeah, I would have loved to have played that game. I had a Sega Master System when I was a young. Wow, I think I got it for Christmas, and I was probably around 10 years old. And it was a big competition between Sega and Nintendo at that time, and both had the consoles out. You either had one of the two because they were expensive, and you either had Sega or you had the Nintendo. And I loved both. I would have loved to have had both, but I had the experience of the NES Punch-Out a few times, but I really wanted to play it, but I just didn't have the console to be able to play it on until years later when I had the Super Nintendo. I went from the Sega Master System to the Super Nintendo, and or the Famicom if you're in Asia. That's what they called the same system over there. But yes, I would have loved to have played that game. I did play a lot of the, I think it was either Super Punch-Out or Punch-Out 2, the sequel. That was a fantastic game, and obviously along the same lines, you played Mini Mac, and you went through trying to work your way up to the heavyweight title. Although I don't believe it was Mike Tyson that was the heavyweight winner, but yes, would have liked to have played it, but I didn't have the system. The Drew, something I didn't realize about Over the Top was the inside joke. The writers is Lincoln's son's name is Mike Hawk. Yes, I'm sure somebody would have been like, I'm going to put this in and see if somebody picks up on it. Yeah, you are a little you're quite good with your little trivia moments about this movie. You've obviously studied it hard and found the important elements to the movie that nobody else has thought of. Mike Hawk, obviously, said quickly becomes something else. Same as Mark Hunt, one of the UFC heavyweight fighters. I bet that they love the fact that he was such a popular fighter and they constantly had to say his name because it does also translate into something else quite quickly. Yeah, here on YouTube. Okay, so the like button. I will have a look after this is finished because I don't want to click off and then start messing around with settings and accidentally turn something off. Yes, I will do that. But thank you, Fox. Board says the Drew. I like hidden jokes like that in movies. In Dumb and Dumber, if Lloyd married Mary, her name would be Merry Christmas. That is another one I didn't think of, and I've watched that movie so many times and never heard that. Yeah, keep them coming, man. That's good. All three that you've written I haven't heard of, thought of. So I'm very impressed. Well done. All right. Fox8 says, Matt, I get to pull Uncle John in September. That sounds like a lot of fun. Are you a experienced puller? Are you a competitive puller? Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. How do you think it will go? Or is it going to be a bit of table time? Are you just messing around? Are you actually having a match with Uncle John? I'd love to hear it. And are you traveling over to the US to do it, or is he coming over to the UK? Fox again. Get in on your phone now for free Punch Out. Oh yeah. I've played around with some of the emulators that are online. Most of the time these days, but when I've got free time, I'm doing things like this where I'm doing as much of the arm wrestling stuff as I can and creating content and doing editing and it does take a lot of time, but I enjoy it. I really like doing that sort of stuff. So this is one of those, it might be a personality thing, but it's frustrating and it's difficult for me to not be doing the stuff that I want to do. I guess that's the same for everybody. But for example, if somebody says, "Hey, let's go watch a movie," to me, that's like you're taking 2 hours of my time, and it's like it's hard to sit and watch and be able to be invested in that because the whole time I'm thinking, I just want to do that video. I just want to do that thing. I want to get that thing done. I've got to do that. I've got so much stuff I've got to get done. So it's difficult to be able to dedicate time to doing those sorts of things. And I know that I would get lost in the world of emulators and go back and play every single game that I wanted to play as a kid. But I'm deliberately not putting myself in that position because I know that it will start a time stealing event for me. The Drew says IMDb is great. It's already in there. Yeah, well, I figured out the plot hole watching the movie, but I only learned about the Mike Hawk part from reading IMDb. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, you notice how I very much spaced out the gap between Mike Hawk because sped up, that does actually become something else. Super Punch Out. Oh, yes. Yeah, great game. I did manage to play that one and really enjoyed it. I had the Tyson Boss cart, but most people seem to have had the Mr. Dream cart. Oh, was there a difference? Was that for NES or for the Super Punch Out version? I don't think I got good enough to be able to get to the final boss. I was probably 13 years old at that point. Yeah, it was more. I think Street Fighter 2 had come out on the Super Nintendo, which I played to death. One King. That's quite good. When said quickly, I know that at some point somebody's going to write a comment because I'm reading them out and I'm not pre-reading them. I'm going to read some stupid thing. It's somebody, those clips where people have written a fake name or whatever, and the presenter is just reading and they read it out. They don't realize. So one of you guys are going to try and trick me. I bet. I bet you probably get me. Although I am quite good. We'll see if anyone can catch me out. Punch Out 2, I played way back. You fight the champions from outer space. Okay. Is that Super Punch Out? Or is that the sequel to Super Punch Out? Ah, there we go. I see. Here we go. Exactly what I thought was going to happen. It's happening. I've picked up on it here. I'm going to read it out, but I'm going to read it out slowly. Tongue punch. I'm gonna gap it here because I know that somebody. Well, I would probably do this myself. I would I would clip that and then I would just get rid of the gaps and make it sound like the word that you're trying to get me to say. Very clever. No, you've got 1 year in. Oh, okay, great. But it's a real match. Okay, awesome. What is the parameters? Are you doing 6 rounds? Are you doing first to 5? Or are you doing first to 3? How do you think you'll go? Tekken has to be my favorite fighting game. Yeah, Tekken is fun. It's hard for me to steer away from Street Fighter 2 because that was my first experience with fighting games, and it was hard. It was hard to sort of find consoles and to be able to get. You had to be lucky. You had to get one for Christmas. You had to get the game the next Christmas. It was rare to be able to have a lot of games, and then one of your friends might have the game, and then everyone would go to play. Go to their house just to be able to play the game. So yes, Tekken came out obviously a bit after that fact, after the Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat. I did like it. I played Hurang, and I hated Eddie. Eddie, if people don't know, is a capoeira fighter, and it's bloody hard to figure out when he's actually throwing a punch or kick. And I used to hate it. And I used to get angry and say people were cheating because you couldn't tell. He's moving the whole time. And it's like, when is he throwing a punch or a kick? Anyway, moving on. Am I on Facebook? Have you not looked at the screen here? I've gone the wrong way. There, right there. There's my Facebook page, Fox8. If you can follow it there, that would be appreciated. Hollywood Mac Connolly on Facebook. That is my page there. All the content that I put up, I will put up on that page, and you can interact with me there. Screw Facebook. Yeah, screw Facebook. Yeah. It does help me to find arm wrestlers, so it does have some merit. All right, we've also got going to the movie sucks. Always got a fart halfway through. Well, what do you do in that situation? Do you just let it go, or do you try to let it go very quietly? Or if you've got some popcorn, do you try to make some noise with the popcorn at the same time to disguise that? Or have you got tactics and thoughts and techniques that you've implemented? Or do you just get up and go to the bathroom and try to sneak away and get it done there and then come back, but then you can't leave because there's an important moment of the movie. You don't want to miss it. So you're in pain. You're in agony. I feel the pain that you're going through in those situations. We have another trick name here. I told you guys I was good. I see it straight away. I played this game. Well. I should give a prize. I'd give a t-shirt out to somebody who can get me to say one of these names. You're going to have to be better than putting them out like that. Have you heard of the arm wrestler Dixie Normus? Yes, of course. Fantastic top roll. Giggles from Foxy there, and here's another one. Yeah, that's a good one there. I can see where you're going with it. I'm not going to say it out loud though, because that one might trigger the filter. See no evil, hey. Punch Out 1 and 2 on the Nintendo. I didn't know they had a number 2 on that. They lost the rights to use Mike's name and likeness, so they changed him to Mr. Dream as the final boss. Is that in number 2? That's funny. Is it the exact same? It's exactly the same, but they just changed the name. Because I know they've done that. And this This is a bit of trivia for you. We'll see if you know about this. The Drew with Street Fighter, talking about video games, the character, there was a character name change between 3 of the characters because there was confusion and there was a potential lawsuit exactly the same with Mike Tyson. So M. Bison was the boxer character in Street Fighter 2. His name was M. Bison, which is obviously a Mike Tyson reference. When they ported it to the US, I think they got a cease and desist letter, Nintendo did, from Mike Tyson, and they said, you have used my name and likeness in this game and you will be sued for money. So they swapped the names around. So M. Bison became the boss character whose original name was Vega. So they swapped that, and Vega became the Claw character. And so they swapped his name to, what did he become? Vega is Vega, and then M. Bison was, what's his name? What hell? Balrog. So yes, which obviously makes sense because the Claw character Vega in America, he was Balrog in the Asian territories. Balrog being, the Spanish sort of name, and he has a Spanish character. But then they changed the characters, the names, to avoid that lawsuit from Mr. Michael Tyson, who probably would have knocked all of them into tomorrow if they went ahead with that. So yes, they swapped it. I'm just going to go through that one more time. M. Bison became Balrog. Vega became M. Bison, and Balrog became Vega. So there you go. Bit of trivia for you. Just one of the value ads we like to provide here at the Hollywood Match Honolly stream. Fox 8 says, Drew, that's true, yes. Obviously about the Nintendo area, you are, well, trying to slip in another word there. So faking cool. Okay. Eddie, you just mash buttons. Anyone can win with him. Yeah, it sucked. Eddie sucked. I don't know if anyone has experienced the pain that I experienced with Tekken and watching Tekken, the games. Yes, Eddie, he's dancing the whole time. You don't know which one's a dance move and which one's a bloody punch or a kick coming at you. So yeah, it's very frustrating. Fox, I believe that he's following me on Facebook now. So thank you very much. I said fake book. And I need to get my arms looking like Matt's. Yes. Well, we've got a bicep emoji. That is my default emoji there. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. It's mirrored to me, so it's always the opposite. But yes, there you go. You got the wrong arm. The split here. I'm very proud of that. I didn't do anything specifically for that. It is a genetic thing, but I will claim fame on that moment. Some people have said, what did you do to get the split? What exercise did you do? I do exactly the same as everyone else. I do bicep curls, alternate curls, dumbbells, barbells. It's exactly the same. There's no secret. It's genetic. Oh, missed one here. There we go. Can't message you on Facebook. Something about the rules in Europe. That is very strange. Okay. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. You can, I have Instagram as well. Right there. That's going to get me every time, man. There. It's funny mirrored. There's Instagram there. If you ever want to send me a message, you can do it on that. I do also have my my personal Facebook page, which is obviously my name, Matt Connolly. But you'd be better served going with the actual page. I don't post as much arm wrestling stuff on my personal one. I stopped using Facebook years ago. They are Sofa King lame. Wow, Sofa King lame. Yes, I know there's a lot of people that are very not into Facebook. Their audience is trending older by the day. Literally, if they don't change their algorithm, their features, they are at the moment they're the big dogs, but they will eventually become MySpace and become obsolete. They're doing good things in terms of trying to change with the way things work in terms of what's popular. You will see these trends if you're into content creation. You will see what other platforms are bringing to the table to be different to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the giants. If you are creating a platform that is identical, it will be swallowed up and you will lose a lot of money very quickly. You need to bring something different to the table if you're going to attract new users. You have the gimmick stuff like that Snapchat did with their messages that end after a certain amount of time, which I think they've done away with now, or it's just a different optional feature. Obviously, Facebook then implemented that feature into their platform. Same with TikTok when that really started taking off. Facebook, which also owns Instagram, they introduced their stories, their reels, so they are identifying what other platforms are doing, but I do think their days are numbered, as all tech companies are. At some point, there will be something way better that attracts the amount of an audience that will make people leave their platform and move to the new one. But at the moment, they are doing the right things and able to keep up with the demand of what the audience is doing and where the people are going. But Facebook is trending older. If you look at the statistics by the day, the people who are using it, the age bracket is increasing. They are losing the younger demographic. And one of the main reasons for that is because people that are younger want to share content. They don't want the rest of their family to see. All of their family is on Facebook. If they share it on Facebook, everybody is going to see it. They find other platforms to do that. In Punch-Out 1, they changed Mike Tyson. So some cartridges have Mike. Punch-Out 2 is completely new game. Fighting outside of Earth. It's weird. I don't think I've ever played that one or even seen it. I might have a look at that afterwards. Yes, Balrog in Street Fighter 2 is obviously Mike Tyson with his punches and background. Stage is Vegas, etc. Yes, absolutely. And that's why the lawsuit happened. True. Yes, I agree. I'm being careful reading your comments now because I'm expecting to find a secret name that's going to trip me up. Maybe I shouldn't have given the option that there might be a prize if you actually get me, if you trick me. But yes, now I'm very carefully pre-reading these comments. Damn, I thought I deleted that Sofa King comment. I guess you can still see it as you are the channel owner. Yeah, it didn't disappear for me. It's still there. Bloody shell off. I don't remember what that. Oh, the arms. I was trying to think. What was showing off? I can't really think of what I could potentially have been showing off. It's a real head scratcher, that one. We've got a thing. Your left arm is bigger. I don't know which one my left is on your screen. This is my left. Okay. This is my right. Which one is bigger? I don't know. I don't think I've measured them independently, but the left definitely has more of the split prominent. I was trying to think of the right word. That's not a bicep. This is a bicep. Yes, we'll see. We'll see. We'll get the bicep. The double bicep is the trademark legal requirement that must appear in every video that I appear in. Definitely not something I made up. Oh, see, I went straight past that one. He's sent me a private message for my promo idea for UJ. UJ. Uncle John, thank you. Brain is like, what is that? Yeah. Okay. Well, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how you go with that. Uncle John is quite an accomplished arm wrestler, so we'll see how you go. MySpace was great. You could rate your friends and really piss them off. Yes. I do remember when it came around and I did create a page and you could put your own music on there that played when people went to your page. There would be certain music that would play. Uh, yeah, fun days. But it did have its time at the top, and yeah, didn't change the features quickly enough to compete with Facebook, which was more about networking and finding people that you know, and their algorithm was very well constructed. And the ability to make it simple, have a simple profile, and then find your other people that were also in that area, whereas MySpace was very complicated. The websites would take quite a while to load. It was messy. It was each page was different, so people didn't know where to click to find your stuff. There was information all over the place. It needed to be restructured. They didn't do it quickly enough, and they became obsolete. You've sent me the private message. All right. Bebo was fun. I don't know what that is. Oh, is it a video game? Bebo, maybe. I don't know. Let me know. I don't know what that is. Wait, what a prize. Watch me go. Ah, yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see if anyone is good enough to trick me on a funny name hidden in the comments here. Mega Love Out Loud. All right. Saturday Night Live. It is. It's Saturday Night Live. It's Saturday night with Hollywood Mac Connolly, and we've got a few people watching. The most valued people, because they are arm wrestling fans, and anybody who's an arm wrestling fan is a friend of mine. Are you going to fight Hollywood Don Underwood for the right to use that tag? I love the Don Underwood. I think he's fantastic. The funny thing is, I didn't know he was called Hollywood when I picked the nickname. Everyone in our club, I pick nicknames for. It's one of the, well, there's several reasons, but the main reason is to help with name familiarity. So it's easier to remember the Viking, Mad Dog, Hollywood, as opposed to John, Tim, Smith, whatever, Mark. So those elements are to help people that are in person meeting people for the first time. It's much easier to remember people's name, as well as with the content creation. It's much easier for people to identify with a character and a person than just with their name. And it's fun. It's always based on some element of their characteristics, of their personality. I was trying to figure out a nickname for myself. I was hoping at some point that somebody would give me one. But you'd never want to give yourself a nickname, because obviously you sound like a complete tool. Because it's like, oh, you're the, I don't know, the Punisher. Oh, you're the Punisher, right? Yeah. Or you're the axe murderer. Yeah. You always make yourself sound like a complete tool. I thought I would go with Hollywood because I've done a lot of work in acting. I've done a lot of acting roles in movies and television, and I like to get on camera and talk to people, and a bit of a Johnny Cage kind of person, I guess, in terms of like. I try not to be. I am better now these days but if you met me when I was in my young 20s, if you picture Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat, that was me. So yes, I very much have been humbled to the point where I don't put myself out there in that manner anymore. But for me, like, that really fits well. And I wasn't aware that Don Underwood had that nickname. I didn't actually know who he was at that point. This was quite early on in my arm wrestling career. It was about maybe 6 to 7 months into it, and I was like, I need a nickname for me. And I'm like, going through all these things. And then Hollywood, yes, perfect. That's perfect. And I was like, yes, cool. And I went with that. And then Tim, the Viking Graham from our club, I don't know, the next week he goes, Don Underwood has Hollywood as his name. And I was like, who? I was like, there can be two Hollywoods. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't really. It's fun to have a nickname. It's a silly nickname. It doesn't mean anything apart from it's some little marketing thing that makes people hopefully remember me a bit more often than just if it was Matt Connolly. So, but love Don Underwood. He's a great guy, fantastic arm wrestler, and yes, it wasn't in any which way influenced by him. If he told me to get rid of it, I would. Then it would be formerly Hollywood. I joined Facebook when it was only for college students. Wow, you jumped in right at the very start. Yeah, it was very different back then. It was very simple, very clean. Wasn't a lot you could do on there. There was a profile and you could message people and you could write on their wall. That's about it. It has progressed significantly since then. But yeah, that's how it was. So you've obviously been around for a while. You heard of Bigfoot and Yowies and stuff. Well, we have the Loch Ness Monster. Yes, you do. Bigfoot and Yowies. Yeah, we I don't know. Do you have these little chocolates that are like Kinder Surprise, but they were called Yowies? When I was a kid, we had those. They might still exist. I don't know. I haven't looked for a long time, but they were very similar Kinder Surprise, but they were called Yowies, and they were in the shape of like a bear. And inside they had the same sort of thing as Kinder Surprise. It was like a little toy or something you'd have to put together. But they were very popular little chocolates. But yes, so I have heard of those things. And also the Loch Ness Monster, which this was quite amusing to me. I did watch a documentary on that a while ago. And they had so many like parade. They had all these events that have happened at the loch over the years, and one of the events was they had all these inflatable Loch Ness I don't know monster toy things that were huge that people would jump on and they'd ride around, and it was sort of for that day or whatever. And then they had a few years later, they had like an actual scientific crew that went there, and they're like, I'm going to put this mystery to rest and put it to bed once and for all. We're going to use this amazing scanning program which just scans the whole water area and can tell what animals are in there, all the rest of it. And then they found a bloody Loch Ness monster. They're like, oh my god, and they were excited. This was big news, and they assembled a team of divers and everyone, and they went down and they found one of the inflatable toys that somebody had thrown in the lake that was all like shriveled up, but obviously retained the shape enough of the Loch Ness monster to, on a scan, appear as if it was a real Loch Ness monster, but it was actually just an inflatable toy. But I would have loved to have seen the faces of those scientists when they saw that. That would have been the best thing ever. We've got another attempt here to say a certain name, but no, I have seen through your plan, Fox, with a book by a guy called P, and then his surname completes the word there, so not even going to say it. You didn't know, you never watched any classic Arm Wars. I am still, this is one of those things. I am very focused on our club matches and the content that I'm trying to put out from that, and the Australian scene, New Zealand scene. I do watch as much as I can in terms of, and most of the time, if it's international stuff, it is the United States matches, the WAL and the classic sort of that sort of thing, the Pulling John documentary. But in terms of the amount of time that I invested in watching a lot of, especially the European stuff, I'm more focused on what I'm doing in terms of our local guys, and it's not that I don't want to watch that stuff, but it's just like, as I said before, if I'm watching something, if I'm doing something that isn't related to my own content creation, I have this like, I should be doing something else feeling, and so it is difficult for me to be able to go and watch everything and anything that but I would like to watch that match. I just haven't put the time and effort into doing it. Yes, go read it. It's fascinating. I'm sure it is. A very hard read to get through. I had the nickname Cool Hand in college, among a few others. My name is Luke, so it came from Cool Hand Luke, and I also use it. It was my arm wrestling name. It's a good movie. It's a classic. It is, I think, as we talked about before, the IMDb. I think that it is actually rated as one of the best. I think it's in the top 100. It might even be in the top 50. I don't know if it gets down to the top 30 of best movies of all time. Cool Hand Luke, if anyone hasn't seen that movie, it's a classic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe this is the movie where the challenge for the movie was to eat, I think it was 30 eggs in an hour. It might have been more or less, but that was the idea of the challenge. There was a certain amount of eggs that had to be eaten for the guy to win the challenge. So I haven't seen it for a long time, but yes, one of the classics there. And if that was your nickname, and it is a good nickname. Don't ever feel you need to correct typos ever. I can understand what you're saying. You're supposed to let Neil, the godfather of arm wrestling, pick up to anoint you a proper nickname. If Neil, I would love to. Actually, this was exciting for me. When I went on with Ryan for the first time, my first episode of the Deep End podcast, the stream, I don't know, show that we did a few weeks back. Neil Pickup was in the comments and writing back to stuff that I'd been saying, which was. That was mind blowing for me. It was incredible. Huge fan of Neil. Never spoken to him. Would love to, but to see him in the comments and then writing back was just like, wow, this is amazing. It was I was literally trembling a little bit. It was him and then Bob Brown, arm wrestling. Bob Brown is the guy who wrote the rules of arm wrestling. The funny thing being, I was bitching about the rules. For about 5 minutes straight. And then I saw him pop up in the comments of Bob Brown arm wrestling, and he's written back to one of them. I was like, oh my God, no, that's the guy who wrote the rules. But yes, well, hey, if Neil wants to give me a nickname, I would humbly accept it. Although I do feel that Neil would be quite happy to just say, hey, you've already got one, you're going with that, you've branded everything, you got your business card sorted. You can't change it now. All right. We must be about the same age. Well, maybe have a guess at how old you think I am. I will be interested to see what you think. Maybe it should be Matt the model, Connolly. Well, yes, Matt Johnny Cage, Matt very full of himself, Connolly, when, yes, those early days. It's fun to look back at it and go, man, that was a dick. But, that's what it was. I'm better now. Better at being a dick. I'm better at hiding it. These are the easy ones. Yeah, I'm seeing them coming from a mile away. Yeah, you gotta be subtle. You gotta be real clever. And don't read this comment. I won't read it. I won't even put it up. But don't read this comment. I won't even refer to it at all. You're a rebel. Oh yeah. Loch Ness. I had a telescope big enough to see Venus. All I saw was Uranus. All right. I love it. It's great. Did you see the deflated toy Loch Ness monster? Cool Hand Luke is perfect for arm wrestling. Definitely. Yes. My nickname at school was Here, You Tramp. Wow. Sounds like you had a fun experience when you're at school, if that was your nickname. Yes, I didn't have a fun experience at school. So if you ever listen to my podcast, the Daily Combat Podcast, I do refer to that reasonably often. I think it was 50 board eggs. Yeah, it was something like that. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I guess 30 isn't that much of a challenge. 50, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I should probably go back and have a look at a synopsis of that film. It was quite good. Board's having a guess at the age here. He's guessing that I'm 32, and Fox has guessed that I'm 39. You're not the winner for saying the Uranus comment. That's not a nickname. That's obviously a. I said the word correctly. You've got a sneaker funny word in there. That's yes, 39 is incorrect. 32 is also incorrect. But we'll continue the guesses until somebody gets that correct. But you are both wrong. I saw a guy named Jeff Esper eat 100 boiled eggs. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Was he a skinny guy? It's funny because sometimes people can be quite thin, and you've seen those professional eating competitions, and people that do really well, they're surprisingly like thin guys. It's really weird. You would think it'd be somebody who's quite overweight, but there's definitely a technique to it. 100 boiled eggs is ridiculous. Yeah, you gotta try harder than that. 36 is also incorrect, but keep trying. The Simpsons has so many prank calls from bar to the bar. Mr. Bum, first name Lee Key. Hey guys, do I have a Lee Key bum here? It is a classic. Mo Sislak, performed by Hank Azaria, who I was disappointed to find stopped doing the Apu and Hasapita Pantalon voice based on public backlash because of the annoying the people that complained about it, saying it was making fun of minorities or whatever. But that character had been around for 20 something years. I don't think they should have stopped doing the character. Classic character, good character, respectful, hardworking, raising his family, and now he doesn't exist because of some people made some complaints, and regardless of the character's portrayal and representation, they stopped doing it. Disappointing. He's very fit, lifts a lot. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, as I said, it's surprising because you would think big eaters would be quite overweight, big people, but no. Sometimes it is the opposite, and it does seem to hold true in that circumstance. Yeah, wokeness, idiot. It ruins comedy, ruins everything. Go woke, go broke. I love seeing companies get destroyed that make idiotic decisions. And I don't know if you remember that Gillette ad they put out about toxic masculinity a couple of years ago. Well, that ad cost their company $6 billion. So well done to the marketing department that put that ad out. And Procter and Gamble, the parent company of Gillette, lost $6 billion after the release of that ad. So well done. All right. My final guess is 40. You are correct. It is 40 years old. This Hollywood Macaulay, 40 years old. Final guess was absolutely correct. You've hit the money. So well done. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes, guys. If you want to write any last comments in here, I will be happy to answer them. It is getting quite late. It is past 1 a.m. in the morning here, Saturday night in Adelaide. It's been fantastic to have you guys in here. I wasn't sure whether I would get anybody joining in on the chat, but it is lovely to see people in here and have comments to respond to. So I'll get through these last little comments here. We've got, I heard Amber Heard's name was changed on IMDb to Amber Turd. That's great. I love it. I hope it was. It's a lot more difficult to change stuff on IMDb than it is to change stuff on Wikipedia. I think at Wikipedia, anybody can just change it at any time, or that it's quite simple to do. But IMDb is bloody hard. And I know this because I am, as I said before, an actor. There's two Matt Connollys, one that is me and the other one that is a Matt Connolly that lives in Canada. I was trying to sort out my acting credits, and they kept listing his work on my on my profile, and I wrote to them so many times and put requests and probably 3 months worth of effort. They still never changed it. So if you ever look up my IMDb acting profile, there's movies on there I was never in. All right. What do you win? You win the best commentator of the night, best guesser, although it did take you 4 guesses to get it right. So I don't know. Uh, Man is still a young un. Yeah, that's right. Young at heart. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Plenty of good mileage and years and fun to come from this person here, this body. Yes, as I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but 21 years non-stop in the gym. Fell in love with bodybuilding at a young age. Arnold Schwarzenegger has always been my idol. The first opportunity I had to get into the gym and start lifting weights, I took, and I was 19 years old. Prior to that, I had been working at home, literally putting soup cans into my school backpack and using that to do bicep curls with. Yes, so it has been 21 years straight, non-stop, never stopped, never will stop in the gym. And now adding arm wrestling in for the last 3 and a bit years and loving that side of things as well. 10:38 a.m. Wow, that's on Saturday morning, I'm guessing. There's quite a significant time difference between the both of us, but love the fact that you have been in here. So thank you very much. Am I actually an actor? I actually am. I'm not acting at the moment. I'm quite freely talking to you as myself. But yes, I have 65 movies that I've been in. If you have a look on my, well, actually, I don't think I've listed all of them on IMDb. The requirements are quite difficult because you have to literally list the production. It takes ages, and it's like I can't be bothered anymore. But yes, I do have an acting agent, and I have done acting for over 20 years. Commercials and movies, and lots of little bits and pieces, and training videos. And one of my fun one of the interesting things with one of the jobs that I did, there is what's called Trans Adelaide, the Transport Adelaide in South Australia, which is about the trains and the trams and stuff like that. Everyone who works for them has to go through this induction video, which was me doing it. And they've used that same video for over 10 years. So thousands of people have seen that stupid induction video, and every induction video that I've ever seen, I've hated it. And you just want to skip past it. But now people get to watch me on there, and I've had lots of people throughout the years go, "Yeah, I've seen you on something. I went to this induction yesterday. Were you on that video?" I'm like, "Yep." Couldn't have been the bloody movie that I did with Robert Pattinson, but no. Anyway. I don't care what I win, as long as I beat Fox. Well, how about you win the opportunity to have an arm wrestle with Fox if he ever... Well, actually, he's coming over to the US, he said. So maybe you get the opportunity to jump on the table with him. Are there any roos where you live? Real question, by the way. Yes, there are. There are. Yeah, it's slightly rare to see them around. I'm obviously in a metropolitan area, but you don't have to go very far to find them. And very occasionally, you will see one of them just, I don't know, not running down the street, hopping around. I think they have specialist, sort of animal welfare people that will go and sort of catch them and take them back out into an area that's safe for them. But I was at work a few weeks back, and I work at night. I do night shift, 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. It was about 3 a.m. Where I stand is in the front, and there's sliding doors, and the sliding doors opened, and a kangaroo literally hopped past the front door. And then every single person that walked in after that said, "Oh, there's a kangaroo out in the car park." I was like, "Yeah, that's really cool." So yeah, eventually somebody came and helped him back to a more kangaroo-friendly area rather than being run over by a car. But yes, you don't have to go very far. Probably well, let me think. In a car, if you drove for 10 minutes in a certain direction, you'd find them. Matt the Body Connolly. Oh, yeah. We'll keep naming. We'll take other people's nicknames and just keep applying them. We'll take Jesse the Body Ventura, and we'll steal that one for a little while, and then we'll find somebody else. I'll watch one of your movies. Yeah, there's a lot of amateur stuff in there. It might be 65 movies. I'll probably 63 absolutely crap, terrible ones. I did a lot of student films and a lot of unpaid volunteer stuff, which I would recommend to anybody that is looking to do acting work because it is exactly the same as paid work, exactly the same. It is just the production and the people that you're working with experience level that is different. But in terms of getting a script, learning the lines, performing the character in front of camera, it's exactly the same whether you're being paid $1,000 a minute or if you're getting paid nothing at all. It is still the same requirements. Stand here, do your lines in this character, and yeah, it is vital that if somebody is interested in doing acting work, that go and look up film students and people that are in the area that are making independent films and jump on and get in front of camera and get experience, because it is vital to developing your ability to be able to, when those paid jobs do arise, that you have the experience and know-how to be able to go and perform correctly and forget about the fact that there's 100 people watching you. There's a microphone above your head. There's 4 cameras. There's lights like blinding you. You've got to stand on a certain X on the ground that you can't look at. So you've got to do it by feel. You've got to turn in this direction. You can't move your head too far this way. Say your lines in character. There's a lot to it that people don't sort of pick up on. And the best way to get experience is to go and do it for free. It's funny how trans means somebody else. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, transport, Trans Adelaide, Transport Adelaide. In one of those so-called movies where you ever a delivery boy, yeah. No, the porn industry in Australia is it's almost non-existent in a way, because I don't know if it's illegal to make it. I haven't looked into the laws, but never met anybody in my lifetime that has done it here in Australia anyway. It's very different. And I was surprised. I lived in Canada for 6 months when I was about 23 years old. And I remember reading the classified ads at the end of the paper. People are selling stuff. And there's always ads in there that they were looking for porn actors. To put it simply, hey, no experience necessary. Money on the day. Come to this location or give us a call or whatever. I was struggling for money. I was really hurting when I was there, and I was like, maybe. I never did. Man, that would be a different world. Yeah, but no, not much of an industry here. Foxzilla is a badass name. It is. It is absolutely. Fox 8 Ball is almost Foxzilla. He's almost stolen your idea there. Acting is like arm wrestling. You do the same work. Sometimes you get paid nothing to pull somebody, and sometimes you get paid a lot. That's correct. And that's one of the things that we are doing with this show and with all of the content that I'm putting out, trying to make it so that you guys can have a career as an arm wrestler and be paid and be in a position where arm wrestling is a full-time job for you. And you don't have to be an arm wrestler and also work your side job full-time and treat arm wrestling as a hobby. We want it to get to the point where it is legitimate paid athletes that do that full-time as their career. So doing things like what we're doing right now and having you guys talk in the chat, it really does help. And I'm trying very hard to help arm wrestling get to the point where people can make a living from it. I'm a Christian. What about your faith? I am not a religious person, but support the fact that people can make their decision. And if you're a Christian person of faith and it benefits you in your life, and you have a set of rules that is set out by your faith, and it assists you and benefits you and the people around you and your community, and I fully support that. I think that's fantastic. I think 50% of all porn made in the last 10 years is from Russia or Florida. Yeah, probably is. There's a great documentary called Hot Girls Wanted, which sort of covers that. and it is about girls going to, it must be Florida, to try to make a career in that industry and failing miserably, because this is something that I learned from that documentary. The average shelf life of a adult film star actress is 1 month. And yeah, you think you do 1 month of those sort of films that are out there forever, when you say you're 18 years old, before you even know what you're doing, you're straight out of high school, you get, oh, let me get on a plane, go over here and do these movies for a month. These movies will haunt you for the rest of your life. It's a decision that you are making that could very much be detrimental and have an effect on you for the rest of your life, which is unfortunate that people sort of make those decisions when they're so young. There's very, very few that actually are successful in that industry. Yeah, although it is interesting to see that the OnlyFans website is doing so well and people are making fortunes on that, which is surprising to me, but it's working for people. And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Not that you would know. Sure. There's definitely far too much adult films on the internet, so I've made it my mission to download all of it and make it so nobody has to deal with that anymore. All right, last couple of little comments here, and then I will end this. It was supposed to be a very quick little episode, but I'm really enjoying talking with you guys here. So having a lot of fun. Arm wrestlers stand against their opponents, pullers haunt them. Arm wrestlers stand against their opponents, pullers haunt them. You heard it here first and for free. Arm wrestlers. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. I don't know what you mean. This is what I'm guessing that you mean. That when you're in a competition with somebody, they are, or if you've got an upcoming competition with someone, that image or that person is running through your mind nonstop because you are thinking of that tournament, that event, and you are planning for it, and it's on your mind 24/7, and that can be a haunting. If I am correct, let me know. But yes, not sure exactly if that's what you mean. That's a good documentary, actually. Yes, I agree. I thought it was quite good. And I don't know if you had the same opinion of the girls that went and did it. I did not like any one of them. I did not like their reasons for doing it. I did not like their attitude. I did not like their motivation. I did not like them. And I was glad in a way that they failed spectacularly. And yeah, those sort of people that the comments, some of the comments that these girls were making was, I can't believe my parents have worked for 30, 40 years. They're so stupid. I'm just going to be able to make it and be famous so quickly in doing this industry. Just no respect for others who have put in a lifetime of work and just, they thought they were above it all. And to see them go down in flames was slightly pleasing in a way. All right. Your only Fox account is it's 50p a month. Sign up, troops. Go support the Fox 8-ball there. 50p a month. I don't know how much that is in Australian dollars. It's probably $1.50. I think it's about 3 to 1 at the moment. But there you go. So Devon is haunted by Levan. He probably is in a way. Eye-opener and sad. Yeah, I will finish up with this, guys, but thank you very much for commenting. It has been wonderful to speak with you. I've got one last comment here. Arm wrestlers, in my opinion, are the technical masters with strength. Pullers are just brutal, like Hutchins. F your hand. Yeah, it's one of the exciting and interesting things, and I'll finish with this. This will be my final thought, my Jerry Springer final thought, that the difference in technique in arm wrestling is what gives it its greatest value. So different people can utilize different techniques to find success. There is no one path to victory. And people that can, like Todd Hutchings, win in the manner that he does, versus somebody who needs to be a technician like Devin Larratt, who sits and bleeds his opponent before he can overwhelm them, and somebody who is lightning fast like Travis Bagent, or somebody who has a very interesting flop press technique like Jerry Cataret. Those are the things that make the personality of the puller interesting to watch, because they become a character in of themselves. So that's one of the greatest things that I find with this sport. All right. Thank you, everybody. I see a lot of lovely good night messages there. Fantastic to talk to everyone, as mentioned, and we'll do this again. Maybe we'll do this as a regular Saturday night or something like that. All right. I'm going to figure out how I got to turn this off, but all the best to everybody. Hope you have a great day or evening, and all the best.